Today on America's Day at the Races, 3-year-old fillies hope to prove their Kentucky Oaks candidates in the mile and an eighth Busanda. Magic Circle, she has speed, the rail, and a new pilot. Graded stakes place, she'll make a 4th attempt at earning her first stakes victory. Rosebud could be her main threat. She was impressive breaking her maiden, rolling by the competition, seemingly on cruise control over a sloppy racetrack. In Hot Springs, Arkansas, sprinters are featured in their main event. Happy Mac returns for North America's all-time winningest trainer after a failed turf experiment. It's back to dirt for this speedy sprinter who makes his first appearance since Saratoga this summer. All that and more coming up on this edition of America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon here at South Ozone Park at Busanda. 10 points to the winner to get into that starting gate for this year's Kentucky Oaks. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. We saw a brief shot there, the hottest hand in the land right now, Trevor McCarthy. We'll talk more about him later in the program. He had another win today. But let's talk our feature race, Magic Circle. Can she finally break through this afternoon? She's got speed, she's got the inside. And Jose Ortiz opted off Rosebud to ride her.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't know what the situation was because Manny Franco had ridden both of these horses, so maybe he had opportunities with Rosebud. I don't know why that took place, but I know that having the rail with Magic Circle means that she doesn't have to be the best horse to win. She has speed and she has the rail, and on this racetrack, that's basically a ticket to the winner's circle, even if you're the 5th best horse in the race. So I think she's probably going to win. I don't really think she's a mile and an eighth horse. She was struggling down the stretch in this race, and it wasn't a particularly strong demoiselle. Nest was much the best in the wide trip. I think she's a very nice horse, and in this year's 3-year-old filly crop, outside a horse named Echo Zulu, the door is wide open. But whether or not she proves to be talented going longer or shorter remains to be seen, which is a nice horse.
Shied away, not just in that demoiselle, tempted as well when Manny Franco went to the riding crop. Rudy Rodriguez has said it can spook her a little. She veered out at both times. It happened during those races, so we'll see if Jose Ortiz decides to go hands only down the stretch. That's a look at the field. That is the 8th coming up later on this afternoon. Part of the late pick 4 sequence ahead. Let's take a look at today's action presented by Claiborne Farm. Fast here in New York and fast in Hot Springs, Arkansas as well at Oaklawn. We'll have races 6 through 9, so late pick 4 coming up 15 minutes away from the first leg of the sequence. And the start of that late pick 5 beginning in the 5th. Feature, as we talked about at the top of the show, out in Hot Springs, Arkansas, features those sprinters, and Gary Stevens, Happy Mac returns. He is very quick, and it's back to dirt now for him.
He is very quick, Greg. I think the worry here, it's 11 horses, 11 horse field with a talented group, a deep bunch that are battle-grizzled horses that are ready to come over here and get it on this afternoon. I think the thing that you mainly have to worry about is he started as a 2-year-old in 2020. He was put away to mature, came back in 2021. It took him a race to come to his best form. His second race off the layoff was the best race of his career. Then he started to regress a little bit. They tried him on the turf, 5.5 furlongs. He didn't like that. He's been put away again, and who knows what's going to happen this afternoon, but I would expect him to improve off of this race. He's going to be bet today. The connections, Joel Rosario, Steve Asmussen, that means he's going to be over bet. He fits with these horses. He's been training at Asmussen Satellite Stable in Louisiana Downs. He worked 8 days ago, was shipped in here. I expect him to come over looking good like all of his horses do, but he may need one, guys.
Gary, thanks. And Andy, you talked about it yesterday. There was no Rosario at Oaklawn. He was at Fairgrounds, and he had a productive day teaming up with Steve Asmussen. 3 victories, couple of stakes wins, and runner-up finishes in the Colonel Bradley and in the Louisiana Stakes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that the Colonel Bradley, I'm not the Colonel Bradley, the main stake, the Lecomte. He's probably the one he wanted to win, but wherever Joel goes, he gets good mounts, and deservedly so, and he takes the best of it.
We're going to recap some of those big ones, including that Lecomte a little bit later on in the program. Getting close to this first in New York. You can play this late pick 4, which is next, by getting signed up and started with Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com, download the app, and take advantage of that offer. $200 sign up deposit match bonus with the code BONUS200. There it is. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. So if you're signed up, you're ready to go. How do you play this pick four? How about with a best bet to start things off? From Jonathan Kinchin. Hey, JK.
Hi, Wolfie. Yeah, my best bet's going to be the one Magic Circle in the Busanda in the 8th for a couple of reasons. The first one is this horse has run well fresh. She comes in off a little bit of layoff. There's no longer layoff than the debut. She won her maiden race. When a horse wins their maiden race, I trust that they can get prepared to run well off of a layoff. The other reason, I have no concerns about the distance for her. She ran well enough going 9 furlongs. She also ran well going the 1-turn mile, which in my opinion can sometimes even be more taxing from a stamina standpoint. And then the third point, and probably the most important one, is tactical speed on a rail that has been good. You want to be inside, you want to be on the rail, and you want to have some speed to be able to hold that position. She does have that as well. So for me, Magic Circle is the best bet, type of horse you could single in your multi-race plays.
She's going to get a lot of attention, especially the way this racetrack has been playing. JK donning some legendary silks there at Claiborne Farm with his new production there. She's going to be tough to beat, and we'll see. It looks like, again, we saw Trevor McCarthy win earlier on the card, committed to that inside, and he won with a big price.
Yeah, I mean, the third race today was the kind of race if you were teaching a track bias course, you would show that third race because the second horse was the best horse. And Jose Ortiz had done a good job with that horse staying on the inside, but then for whatever reason, and not a good one, he left the rail top of the stretch. I understand a fair racetrack, that's how you ride effectively, but that's not how you ride in this track. He left the rail, and Trevor McCarthy just stayed in the fence. He's like the rabbit at the dogs, Trevor, and he won with a horse that's dramatically inferior, and it was simply because he stayed inside and the other horse did not.
This race, it kicks off the pick four. $32,000 claiming race. It is a 1-turn mile. Customer experience, we expected to get a ton of attention, and is the 7-5 favorite right now. Dylan Davis, he's got a 2-win day already. He'll team up with Bill Morey and a horse who's been very popular in the claim box.
Yeah, if the track were fair, I would make a huge bet on the 7, making sense. Even Blue Paint, who's the clear inside speed, can win this race, though on paper she's dramatically inferior.
Well, this one here, 3-2 favorite, 6-time winner from 18 starts. Coming off a big win for 25 last out. That was at 6 furlongs. She can stretch out that talent. We'll find out coming up. Back at America's Day at the Races. Program brought to you in part where you can play all the action. Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com. Download the Naira Bets app. Get signed up and started. Pick four, as we've mentioned, coming up next. Another look here at the odds. It is still customer experience, the 6-5 favorite in this 1-turn mile claiming race. Let's head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Checking in with customer experience, the gray mare in here. Now, William Morey decides to stretch her out off the claim, and I think it makes sense. Look, she's had success going this kind of distance before, but too physically, she just looks like a horse that can take advantage of, the way a race may unfold a bit better with more ground because, two, she's a horse that, albeit last time I will say that Rob Atras actually got her to break quite well. And it always seems to be something that she struggles with a bit, and it's primarily from what I can work out, she just doesn't look the strongest behind the saddle, and obviously that's where horses need to push off to get out of the gate quickly, alertly, and effectively. So with a little bit more ground, despite her hind end not looking as strong as I'd like it to, I think it just mitigates that a little bit and does put her in a closer spot to be more advantageous and successful in this race. As we'll move on to a horse that I find very interesting, and number 4, Charge Account. Now, she does have, a little bit of early speed, which is good in here, and she's coming off of a layoff and dropping out of fields where I just think she was meeting much better company for Kelly Bream. And then her last win, 3-back, she moved early, she was wide the entire way. I thought that was a very good effort, and she comes in here. It's the first time I'm laying eyes on her. Very pretty filly. I love the way she's put together. Kind of looks like your quintessential kind of 1-turn miler, so I like this configuration and distance for her. She looks so healthy in her coat. Happy horse too. Now, maybe she does need a race off the bench, maybe one just to kind of bring everything up, just to strengthen up a little bit. But as on the flip side, she does look fit enough from that kind of lean perspective, and that she's not carrying any extra weight. So they do have her as well turned out as they possibly can for this return to the races. I think she's interesting. As number 3 is B-Bit. Now, she's done the bulk of her running on the turf, but she's only had 6 fast dirt races. She's never finished worse than third. So I'm okay with her getting onto this surface. I think it's interesting, too, that Chris Engelhart does this because this is a move that he often does have success with. And, two, Chris bringing her back, she is always one that I've always been a little bit critical of her not looking as strong as she should behind the saddle in her hindquarters, and he actually has her looking the best that I have seen her in her brief stint here at the Naira racetrack. So with a little bit of a layoff too with her in mind, I think she looks ready to go here. Now, we do have a late scratch being announced here in this sixth race. Number 7 in here, Making Sense, is a late scratch. I do believe there was a discrepancy with her shoeing. So she will be a late scratch today. Getting back to number 3 in here, B-Bit. She does show up wearing the front wraps first off the claim, but Chris Engelhart runs every single one of his horses in front wraps. So don't put any stock into that. I think she's an interesting player, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. So it is, again, late scratch, Making Sense, coming out of this race. One of several that looked they wanted to show speed in here. What does that do to Blue Paint, the 2?
Well, Blue Paint is loose, and she's an interesting discussion here because she is woefully inferior to this field on paper. In her last race is really the only race she's ever run that even puts her in the ballpark of being fast enough to win. But we've seen some pretty crazy horses win races by sitting on the rail on this racetrack over the last month and even this weekend. So I'm not going to discount her. I don't see how she can win on her merits, but I could see her winning on this racetrack. I don't really like customer experience. Listen, I liked Making Sense a lot in this race. Unfortunately, she's not going to get to play. It might be fortunate for me. So I'm not a huge customer experience fan. She is the worst to beat, but she was very much with the racetrack last time out with a wide trip on a day the rail was bad. Maggie was mentioning Charge Account. Well, Charge Account's coming off a dead rail trip, though I guess we'll talk about customer experience right now since we're showing the replay. She had everything her own way in this race, and she took advantage of it. But I'm not overly sold on her, but she has run well going a mile, but I think she's a little dressed up.
Yeah, this was the win sprinting, so I wanted to ask you that, going back to that. She has won at a mile. Yeah. She's run some good races, but 5 of her 6 wins have come sprinting.
Yeah, that concerns me a little bit. And also she's an outside closer, coming off of a perfect trip on a dead rail track, and now she's an outside closer on a gold rail. So how does that suit her? I think Charge Account is the interesting horse in this race to 4. She was on a dead rail at Monmouth in her last start, and prior to that, she ran 2 very big races that would make her competitive here. And one thing about her rider, Jose Gomez, he sticks to the fence.
Equal measure kicks off the post parade here, 9-1.
Tough to make a case for this one. She just doesn't really look good enough. And she's a turf horse to boot.
All 4 of her wins on the grass. Here's Blue Paint, the speedster.
She's going to be in front in this race. And I'll tell you, sometimes around here right now, that's all you need.
B-Bit really capable on either surface, but 4 of her 6 wins on turf.
I agree, but she has a higher percentage of wins on the dirt, so she seems to be able to handle the surface, and she can be forward.
Here's Charge Account, who you were talking about.
I think she's an interesting alternative favorite, and she becomes my top choice with the scratch.
Trained by Kelly Breen. He's the one who suggested to Angel Cordero that he work with Jose Gomez.
Good move for both of them.
Yeah. Customer experience, 4-5 actually on the board.
I could never take 4-5 on a horse that's against the bias, coming off a with the bias win. I get it. She's in some ways the horse to beat. But I think she's sketchy a little here. I'll tell you one thing, though. William Morey, he hasn't had any starters since coming here from Kentucky, but his horses have been running.
Limited starters, no question, but 43% at the meet early on for him. Even money on his charge here. Customer experience. Let's go back to Jonathan.
Yeah, this is a situation where the 6 to me makes a lot of sense for lots of different reasons. This horse was going 6 furlongs last time and showed some tactical speed. So they could, if they were aggressively ridden, from pace figures, this horse could be sent forward and get that position that's needed to not be against the bias. But at a short price, do you really want to? I don't like betting short prices when you need a trip. I like betting short prices when the horse is going to get a trip. So that's a little bit of a problem for me. The 3 B-Bit. This horse is interesting to me. This is a horse that has done a lot of running on the turf, but does have a couple of dirt races that fit. The horse has tactical speed, and you get a rider like Kendrick Carmouche that I think is 2 positives. One, Kendrick is usually aggressive from the gate. Will get his position moving forward, which in my opinion will help B-Bit find her way down to the rail. The second part is, and I can't say this for all of the amazing riders in the room, Kendrick pays attention Tobias. So if Kendrick can get to the rail, Kendrick will be on the rail. And to me, that is a comforting notion. So I'll take the 3 B bit on top, but I do think the 6 is live, just not at a short price.
Even money still on the 6, and B bit the 3 at 2-1 with Kendrick.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but I don't disagree with Jonathan. She could end up being behind the 2 and getting to the fence, and that could certainly help her. I'm not a huge fan of hers, but I could see her winning this race. Like I said, I like the 4 charge account. I'll stick with her. I mean, for me, the win went out of my sails when the 7 scratched. When you really like a horse, and I really like the 7 in this race, it's always a little tough. She was scratched. You know, it'd be one thing if she was scratched because she had a physical issue. But because it was a shoe thing, you feel like it's sort of an unfortunate scratch. But that's the way it goes. It's tough for the connections who put a lot into getting her to the racetrack and all the people that work with her just to get her there. But I don't mind going in charge account. She's 7-2 in here, and I'm going to hope she gets the right kind of trip. And around here right now, all you're just doing is hoping you get the right kind of trip.
Pick 4 coming up with more on that late scratch. I'm making sense. Let's go back to Maggie.
And just to kind of explain a little bit about what was going on with the shoe dispute with Making Sense leading to her being a scratch. Often we'll hear prior to a race, horses announce that are wearing 1/4-inch bends. So it's a turn down on their hind shoes just to provide a little bit more traction. Well, Making Sense were more like 1/2-inch bends. So they're just too big for the Paddock blacksmith and the stewards to feel comfortable in allowing her to run and citing it might be an unfair type of advantage. So do want to discuss B-Bit a little bit in regards to her, warm-up. And she was very aggressive with Kendrick. I mean, Kendrick did as he usually did, but she kind of threw her head in the air and took a hold of him pretty good, and it took him a while to get her pulled up as well. So she was very quiet in the paddock, but he certainly woke her up out on the racetrack, and a filly that, as JK was mentioning, has enough early speed to keep her engaged, and I think we'll see that her sitting just off those early likely pace setters. Greg.
Maggie, thanks. There you see the analyst selections, and really the last week has been all about Trevor McCarthy. Today has been about Dylan Davis. He's trying to get his 3rd win here on the 4-5 favorite. Customer Experience. Can she do it here off the stretch out? But she loves this track, we know, but the way it's playing today, she might be up against it.
Yeah, I mean, and when you couple that with the fact that she's coming off with a sort of a bias-aided victory, you've got all the accoutrements of an overbet horse. I'm not going to fall out of my chair if she wins this race, but she is not a good bet at 4-5, in my opinion.
Pick 4 begins here. It includes, of course, the Busanda with points earned to get into that starting gate for the Kentucky Oaks. That's coming up in the 8th. Magic Circle going to attract a lot of attention. Rosebug will as well for Bill Mott. Sequence starts here, though. 4-5. Customer Experience. Bill Morey off the claim. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial to kick things off.
They're all in. Set for race 6. And they're off. From the outside, it is Customer Experience. And now Charge Account is moving up to grab a narrow lead. Customer Experience on the outside. An Equal Measure moves up down at the rail. Then it's B-Bit and Blue Paint. Only 2.5 lengths separating the field as they move up the backstretch now. And it is Charge Account by a head. Customer Experience, the favorite on the outside in second. Equal Measure is down at the rail. Then it is B-Bit and Blue Paint in the quarter in 23 3/5 seconds. They move along here with Charge Account in front here by a head. Customer Experience right there on the outside in second. It's a 1.25 to B-Bit, who tracks in third. Equal Measure down on the inside in fourth. Blue Paint is the trailer. And now there's a half mile to the finish. It is still Charge Account and Customer Experience. They are 1-2. The half was run in 46 3/5 seconds. Blue Paint is making a move up on the outside to grab third. Equal Measure is at the rail. And B-Bit is now back in fifth. Customer Experience has drawn right alongside of Charge Account, and the two of them are right together. They've got 2.5 lengths on Equal Measure in third, and Blue Paint, who's now tailed off in fourth. 3/4 went in 1:10.4. Customer Experience has now taken the lead. Equal Measure up on the outside into second. Charge Account is down towards the rail. It is Customer Experience who has a 3.5, now a 4-length lead as they come on for the finish. And it's going to be a 3-win Sunday in New York for jockey Dylan Davis. Customer Experience over Equal Measure and Charge Account.
Customer Experience just too good for this group. Now 5 for 8 at Aqueduct, and as you heard, 3-win day for Dylan.
Track's been playing quickly, but that's a very solid time for her. And listen, when a horse wins and wins that easily and was never on the rail, you've got to give them a lot of credit. You know, we frequently say, well, that horse was helped by the racetrack. Well, she wasn't. She was just much the best. I credit Jose Gomez. I love him as a rider. He gave Charge Account every possible chance in this race. She just didn't run well. I mean, that's not his fault. He can't pick her up and carry her on his shoulders. And frankly, the one Equal Measure, she overperformed. A good ride by Jalen. He stayed on the inside and angled out in the stretch. But this winner, she's a decisive winner. She justified her 4-5 price and then some in here.
And you see how quiet Dylan was. He didn't have to do a lot late in this race. She was just tons the best. 4-5 favorite. Kicks off this pick 4. 6-1-4 finish. And she wins for the 7th time in 19 career starts, but she has been really at her absolute best here on this racetrack.
And how about William Morey? He's now 4 for 8 with his starters here. Something tells me he may be bringing more horses to New York in the near future because his horses are running.
Incredible start, no question. To Hot Springs we go in the 4th race. Next on the card at Oaklawn, it's a 2-turn mile. Starter optional claiming group. W.W. Fitzy. Robertino Diodoro, one of the best claiming trainers in this game. With the 4-5 favorite here, David Cohen rides.
This horse looked very, very hard to beat, especially off the last race. I mean, I thought the 9 was a little bit interesting and valuable off the claim by Chris Hartman. It was the second choice, but this is not a heavy favorite. Greg, I don't know about you, but I'm not looking to play against her. Him. Her. Her. Him. Him. Her.
6-year-old mare who's trying to win for the 10th time in her career. She had to go against Coach in Stakes Company last time out in the Pippin.
She's just running against better horses. You know, I liked her a little last time, and she didn't get the best of trips in there and actually ran fairly well because she didn't get out of the gate. Could have been a little bit different. I'm not saying she would have won, but she could have been second if she got out of the gate. I thought she ran fine, and she may have this field over a barrel.
We'll get to her coming up. We're going to start with a long shot down on the inside as they make this turn here for the post-parade coming up. Shabam. McLean Robertson will kick things off here in a moment, coming in from Canterbury. Actually been on the turf the last couple of starts.
Is that a superhero, Shabam?
Shazam, I know is.
Shabam could be his sort of long-lost brother or something. He's from the earlier part of the alphabet. Right.
This one has not shown superhero powers on the racetrack.
No, not on the dirt, that's for sure.
Izzy Bella at 7-1.
Stretching out for this race off the 6-furlong race would have to improve. Should be forward, but there's other speed.
Bob and Tail Kenny Smith comes out of a stake.
Yeah. Listen, she got a couple of solid figures. They're both in stakes. Her non-stake figures are not even in the ballpark, which makes me wonder a little bit.
Here is the even money favorite.
I think she ran very well last time. I respect Diodoro off the claim, and I think she's going to win.
Duplicitous will stretch out.
Good name for a horse.
5-year-old by Twirling Candy.
And the name is better than her. She stretches out.
Yeah, 3-time winner. Invaluable. Chris Hartman claim.
She's a horse that we saw run here, and I respect Chris Hartman off the claim. His claim numbers, though, for what it's worth, he's stretching out on the dirt off the claim. He's 3 for 17, over 4 at Oaklawn.
Speed with Miss Imperial.
Yeah, she's a horse that should be forwardly placed in this race, stretching out. I agree with you.
Catechism, 8-1, who just missed by a half length, sprinting on the lead last start, went very quick early.
All the speed is on the outside, right? He's reading the 10, 11, and 9. They seem like the 3 speeds. Yeah. If you want, but I don't know if that's going to be able to make them beat the 6, though, who looks pretty tough to me.
Yeah, it looks like there's plenty of speed to set it up for W.W. Fitzy. How's the track been playing in Hot Springs? Let's go back to Gary Stevens, our Hall of Famer.
Well, guys, I usually do my opening hit giving a weather report. I didn't do that today, but I'm going to give you a weather report right now and track condition as well. The track's playing a little bit sluggish. It was 20 degrees this morning when I came out to the racetrack. The track didn't open up for training until 10 o'clock. It was too cold. It was iced over. They did a great job with it, but this track hasn't had any water on it whatsoever for 4 days, and it's actually very dry right now and tiring. These horses, granted, we haven't had this quality of horse that we have in this race running earlier on the card, but the track times have been very slow. The intermediate fractions have been slow, and horses are really struggling home. So it's going to be interesting to see how this track plays throughout this afternoon, how horses are handling it, and what effect it has, and if they do add any water. I would say they're more than likely not going to. We're supposed to get sub-freezing temperatures again tonight. People need to train in the morning to prepare for next week's races. But as far as the race setup goes here, I say, yeah, Miss Imperial's probably going to be on the lead. The 6 horse, she's going to be in a perfect spot, and she looks much the best on paper here. But I think you have to take into account how the track conditions are and this temperature going from 20 degrees to 60 degrees right now. It's like a spring-like day. And this filly, WW Fitzy, she did get a little warm coming over here. She's not washed out, but she was the only one that's sweating up a little bit under her girth and her hindquarters. So something to keep an eye on there. If she's going to get beat, she's going to beat herself today, guys.
Gary, thanks. I had to double check. From 20 to 60 degrees, that is a wild swing.
We got to get Gary one of those green screens so he could come on, you know, pointing on the map and giving us the full weather report. It's Al Roker-Stevens. It is amazing. When he said it was 23 and this morning, but it was as low as 21 today.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a big swing, huh? 36-degree warm-up?
Still warmer than it was in Green Bay.
I feel so bad about poor Aaron Rodgers losing. It's a tough beat for him.
Even money on WW Fitzy, said with no sarcasm whatsoever. 3 minutes away from that 4th at Oaklawn. Back in New York, customer experience. 7th career win, 5 for 8 at Aqueduct. Del Mori off the claim. Dylan Davis, number 3 today.
These horses for William Mori are just running. And no exception here with customer experience coming off the claim. She was huge. She was not benefiting from the racetrack. She was simply an hour and a half the best in this race. That was an impressive performance by her.
Usually a pretty good sign, too, when the last 4 times out a horse has been claimed. Trainers, sharp trainers, saw something they liked. Try and find out if she again was taken out of this race for you. We'll look into that.
I feel like she's a rare original. She was claimed by.
Trying to find out by
I think
who,
she's
but yes,
an
she was
original
taken
Klarovich runner, a rare original Klarovich runner that has proven to be okay.
again. 5th straight race she's been claimed.
Wow.
$44,856 pick 6 carryover today coming in. That began in race 4 glass ceiling. Even money favorite began it. Bistrita, $7.40, and now an odds-on favorite. So very formful to this point. Long way to go, though.
If you're alive in a pick 6 and you've made it through 5 races, it feels like there's a long way to go.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah. We've seen logical results so far, though. We'll see how it plays out.
One day I want to be 5 for 5 with all.
She was claimed by a person who gets mentioned on the show way too often. Won an 8-weight race shake. We should probably let Jonathan tell everybody.
JK?
Marshall Graham.
I didn't know, but I was going to guess. Marshall deserves to be mentioned all the time. Look, this is a situation for me where you want to. This is a lesson in conditions where it's my opinion that in these starter allowance races, these are some of the most dependable favorites that you can find because they kind of sneak in through technicalities to a certain extent. You look at the favorite in here, the 6 WW Fitzy. Look at the past performance. This horse was claimed for $62,500. Diodoro comes right back and runs in a stake. So the fact that they claimed for that much, then ran at a stake, they obviously thought the horse could run a little bit. Then, if you look at the conditions of this race, this is for horses that have started for $30,000 or less. WW Fitzy hasn't started for $30,000 or less since 2018 when she debuted for $15,000. She's won like 9 or 10 times since then. Basically, this is a check move by Flying P Stables to make a little bit of money to help pay some of the bills for some of the other horses that aren't quite working out. And you just pick up the check here in a starter allowance race where this horse was a single digit in a stake last time.
And there she is, 4 to 5. So thank you, JK, for that lesson here in these conditions. You still got to do it, though.
Yep.
Invaluable, this 9. stretching out, has shown speed, has won on the New York circuit as well. But you just think there's too much speed for any one of these three really to kind of get loose?
Well, no, I mean, I think that obviously it always depends on who rides the most aggressively, but I think the 10 can get loose in here. And she is off the claim for Jerry Hollendorfer, who does not have great stats off the claim overall. I think she's supposed to be the main speed in this race. I just think the 6 is just a better horse, and I believe that unless the 6 gets in significant trouble, she's going to win this race.
Well, she ran a couple of races last year that would win this race by a country mile. Ran a 94 Beyer on this track April last year. Can she do it again now as a 6-year-old? She's the odds-on favorite. W.W. Fitzy. Let's go to Vic Stauffer.
They're at the post. They're off. Fast start for Duplicitous and Invaluable. W.W. Fitzy broke good today into the outside Miss Imperial, and there goes W.W. Fitzy right to the front. Then comes Catechism, followed by Bob and Tail and Isabella, and the trailer is Shabam. W.W. Fitzy to the backstretch, a length in front of Miss Imperial, who runs up to challenge in second. Then comes Duplicitous, third and about 2.5 from the front. Shabam is a absolute handful and tough to manage. She's in fifth, just outside of Bob and Tail. Then it's 3.5 back to Isabella at the rail, Catechism between horses, and now Invaluable is the trailer up the backstretch. Finish line is the 16th pole, and David Cohen's trying to win his third on the day, and he's got W.W. Fitzy in striking position to do that. She goes into the far turn with a 2-length lead on Miss Imperial in second. Then it's 3.5 to Duplicitous and Bob and Tail. Isabella's at the rail, another 2 back to Catechism and Shabam, and Invaluable is still the trailer. 10 lengths first to last. W.W. Fitzy is the leader. She continues to roll along with a 2-length lead over Miss Imperial in second. 3 back to Bob and Tail and Duplicitous. Then comes Isabella, back of the pack. Shabam has dropped out. W.W. Fitzy is the leader at the top of the stretch. It's a short stretch, too, and she's got a 2-length lead on Miss Imperial in second. Duplicitous is third. Bob and Tail and Isabella. W.W. Fitzy never gave him a chance today. W.W. Fitzy now 5 in front. Miss Imperial and Bob and Tail. 3 wins David Cohen. W.W. Fitzy. She won by better than 5. Miss Imperial was second. Bob and Tail third. Duplicitous finished fourth.
W.W. Fitzy, when she was in front early, that spelled trouble for the rest of this field.
Yeah.
She was entered, it spelled trouble for the rest of this field.
Yes, yeah. This field was in trouble when they drew the race. The only thing that kept her from winning by more was the short stretch. If it had been a long stretch, she could have won by about 8 or 10. You know, when the best horse gets the lead in a race where the best chance their upsetters have is to try to control the pace up front, they're really in trouble. I smoked her right out 3-5. All over her.
3-5, yes, in the end, dropped down another notch. 3 wins for David Cohen, as you heard. 10-time winner now, the 6-year-old mare, who ran in here and ran protected for Diodoro and Flying P stable.
Well, yeah, there's all sorts of rules on well, this is an optional, right? Starter optional, but there are a lot of different rules there for waiver rules, by the way. Someone was trying to explain to me the other day. I wasn't smart enough to follow along.
Hottest rider on the planet right now. Trevor McCarthy's won with 11 of his last 16 mounts coming into today. He added another earlier on the card. Can he stay hot coming up?
We're just fortunate to have an Andy Sterling taking care of the backstretch workers. There's no words to describe what he has done in the mix of this climate of the uncertainty that we live in through this virus. He has been a quiet but very important supporter of the efforts that the New York Racetrack Chaplaincy have done throughout the past 2 years. And we appreciate his efforts, and not only his efforts, but his heart has always been in the right place and has been with our backstretch community for a very long time, since he started here.
Andy Serling, I am very happy for you. Congratulations on an honor well deserved.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me, actually, and I appreciate the chaplaincy and all they've done. I mean, you know, Umberto and all the people at chaplaincy and how much they do for the most deserving people. I mean, we wouldn't have jobs around here if it wasn't for the people on the backstretch. We wouldn't have a sport to love, a sport I've loved my entire life, if it wasn't for the hard work of these people. And obviously, with the pandemic particularly, it's been a tough time. And I think anything that any of us can do, and it's hard to tell people, you know, they have their own struggles with money. It's hard to tell people you should give money, or you should do this, you should do that. But I think if any of us have some extra money to give, whatever it is, the chaplaincy, BEST, the Belmont Child Care Association, all these are very important in taking care of people that do so much for us, and they never, ever, ever get any real credit for it. They're so far behind the scenes, and it means a lot to me, and I really do appreciate what the chaplaincy said and what Umberto said, but there's nothing any of us could do that would be enough.
They really make this show go on.
Yeah.
And they don't get enough recognition.
They can't. They could never get enough.
Nope. And it, again, with COVID too, been an extremely tough time for everyone there in the backstretch. So if you can, as Andy said, any little bit helps. Give what you can, and it's a well-deserved honor for Andy Serling. Happy for you. 7th here at Aqueduct. New York Breds, A other than allowance coming up. Snicket, you look at this last race from Snicket, and wow, it is tough to love this horse today, who has 8 seconds as well in 17 career starts.
The pick was paying over $1,000. I was alive to her. It was ugly up here. You weren't here. I'm surprised you didn't hear me from wherever you were. You were in England. I'm surprised you didn't. Somebody in England heard me. It was.
We will
how
talk
she lost that
more
race is unbelievable.
about her chances coming up in a moment. First, let's head down to Maggie.
And just to kind of go back to what you guys were talking about, the importance of the backstretch and the team that provide for these horses every single day. And, you know, thinking about the pandemic with the horses, they didn't know we're in the midst of a pandemic. They needed taken care of every single day. And so for the whole teams in every single barn to show up, do their job despite being in the midst of catching COVID, that was a risk. But they did it for the horses because at the end of the day, our hearts are always, you know, indebted to the horses. And as somebody who a hot walker, a groom, exercise rider, I've done it all. I can certainly relate to everybody that just works 24/7 with these majestic animals. As we'll take a look at number 2 in here, Enter Sandwoman for Jimmy Jerkins off the trainer change. And she did show up on a sloppy track last time, but getting back out with a little bit more ground. I'd honestly prefer to see her going the 1-turn mile where she's had success, because she's so big and leggy, and albeit one thing in her favor is she's getting back against New York Breds for the first time in a while, where she did beat Maiden 40 early last year. But look, I'm always going to like a Jimmy Jerkins trainee. His horses just are what I look for in runners when they come over. They're well conditioned, they're typically energetic, they're forward. So I like what I'm seeing from her. I do think she's fairly intriguing. As we'll move on to the outside, who is taking a big step up in class. Number 8, Bella Principessa. I don't like the field she comes out of, though she did trounce them that day, to be fair. Just a horse that, putting my hand over her PPs, I like what I see here physically. She's really well turned out, much like she was in that win. She did look as though she was, you know, exceedingly much better than her competition that day. But I'll tell you what, she matches up against the fillies that fillies and mares she meets here today. So I like what I'm seeing from Bella Principessa, though she certainly gets a class test, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. 7 minutes away here from this 7th coming up. And 9-2. On this outside horse here, Bella Principessa. Get to the post parade shortly.
I struggle with this race because I get that the 3 figures to be the speed, Snicket, but I also the same issues you brought up, Greg. She's 8 times second. The horse who beat her did come up the good rail last time, but she basically rode it until she drifted a bit in the stretch. If she didn't win last time, I can't take her even under ideal circumstances. And happy to see this again and suffer through that beat again. I was live with the horse 2, by the way, Greg. They were paying 6 and change and 1,000 and change.
This was to close out a...
I think it might have been pick 4, not a pick 5. But it was definitely, maybe a 5, whatever. It was pick 5, pick 5.
At what point did you start
swearing?
Probably here.
A little before this. I think I hit Lafitte in the head with a water bottle. she just doesn't want to win this horse. And the winner got a great ride from Trevor McCarthy. Who else? Up the rail. Everybody else would have been 5 wide, and I would have cashed. I struggle because Casilda 40 Tails is the logical horse to beat her. I don't expect her to see the rail in this race. And I'm going to make a small bet on That Is Key. Because That Is Key was 4 wide against a gold rail last time. Now, she may get a wide trip again, but Eric Cancel has picked up on the racetrack over the last day or so. So maybe Eric can get a little lucky. In a race like this where I can't figure out anybody, I'd rather bet a few dollars on a price because I don't like the bottom horse. I think she caught lightning in a bottle in a weaker race in the slop last time. She beat Quitigua. And I do think Casilda 40 Tails is the horse to beat, but I don't trust her to get the right trip, so I'm going to hope to get lucky with the 5 who has an excuse in her last start.
That Is Key, the 5, 9-1 right now. For Ralph DeSalessandro, Eric Cancel will be aboard as we take a look at Mia Bia Star, who's just 2 for 20 lifetime.
You know, the funny thing about her, and on paper, she doesn't have a prayer. I mean, you can't make a case for her based on her PPs. Randy Persaud has remarkable numbers off the claim. I think at Aqueduct, he's something like 7 for 23 in dirt sprints off the claim over the last 5 years. Now, this is 7 furlongs. He won with 1 here earlier this week. So you don't think of Randy Persaud as a trainer you're going to be betting off the claim, but he's had at least 2, maybe 3 winners off the claim at this meet alone. But geez, Greg, how do you make a case for her?
Got 12 lengths to try and make up on the one to her inside. Casilda 40 Tails, tough to endorse. Jonathan, your thoughts here on the 7th?
Yeah, look, I think the 6 Casilda 40 Tails is probably the most likely winner, and you have to work through the post position. But she's tactical enough that it doesn't feel like she's going to be wide all the way around there. And I don't care if she is. If she runs her race 2 back, they're all running for second. You have to come up with an excuse for her last race. Well, for me, she was wide that day. She was on a sloppy racetrack. That's enough for me to come up with some excuses for her. And at 5-2, I could get into betting Casilda 40 Tails. The other horse that Andy mentioned, the 3 Snicket, this is something that I've had to kind of battle with in the last 5 years or so when I've become more aware of track bias, is typically I struggle to play a horse who was bias aided in their next start. But it's hard when they project to get the same trip that they got last time and they're likely to be bias aided again. So although the instinct is to discount the last performance, I think the proper thing in this situation with the tactical speed of Snicket being drawn where Snicket's drawn, likely to get the same trip. I prefer the 6, but I wouldn't be shocked if the 3 won.
All right, Jonathan, thanks. And, he mentioned that start 2 back. If she runs that, everyone is running for second, but she's never produced it before. She hasn't produced it in her next start, obviously. Can we trust it? We're ever going to see that again from her?
No. She was compromised by a speed in the inside track last time out, so she did have an excuse. But I agree, Greg. The problem with a race 2 back is, Jonathan says fine. Fine, I don't disagree. But it's an aberration.
Yeah. 19-1 on Ancient Brown on the inside.
I actually think that she has a little bit of a look for a long shot to get a piece because she has run some good races and getting a dry track may help.
We'll have more on this rider in a moment. Trevor McCarthy, the hot hand in this town. Jimmy Jerkins, the trainer.
Gotta leave her, use her just because of Trevor, and she'll stay on the rail.
Snicket, reasons to play against, as we've talked about.
It's just the second place finishes are just piling up, and last race she had no excuse to lose.
Captivating Kira, she took 19 starts. She finally won last time out.
But I don't think she rates to go 2 for 20.
That is key. 9-1, you like.
I think she's a little bit interesting in a price. She's had an excuse. Ralph DeSalessandro, the horse trainer, has had some good numbers at the Aqueduct meetings.
Casilda 40 Tails, 9-5 with Jose Ortiz.
Yeah, if she runs a race 2 back, she'll win. But she's got a lot of other races that give her no chance. So what do? She's a 1-number horse as of now.
Mia Bia Star, you talked about this trainer off the claim in New York.
You're strictly betting on Randy Persaud off the claim if you're betting on this one because she makes no sense on paper.
Yeah, Manny Franco outside on Bella Principessa just claimed.
Coming off a facile win, no doubt about it, but a sloppy sealed track that's aberrantly better than any race she's ever run against a questionable field and moving up and drawing an outside post. Listen, she's 6-1 if you like her. I'm just not that guy.
Enter Sandwoman, the mount of the man we should probably be playing Enter Sandman for because he's been the closer here in New York. Trevor McCarthy coming into today. He'd won with 11 of his last 16 mounts. He added another win earlier today, just riding incredible, and he's doing it with smarts as well, reading the racetrack. He's won only on of those 11 wins, only 3 favorites.
Oh, yeah, no, he's winning on horses that are prices. And the other thing is, they're not all speeds. It's not like he's getting on a bunch of speeds and he's wiring the field. He's on closers, but what he's doing is staying on the rail. Case in point, the horse that beat Snicket. She came from dead last. And Trevor was joking with me. He said, sorry, I beat you out of that score. He said, but, you know, I knew it was going to be hard to win from dead last, so I put her on the rail and hoped I got lucky. And that's what you have to sort of do. I mean, if you're doing the right thing with your horses, you're going to always give them their best chance to win. And that's all you can ask from a rider. The very best riders are rarely going to win races with horses where they shouldn't have won, you know, and they did something special. It's the number of races you don't lose on horses that are supposed to win. I think that's how you judge the very best riders, you know, and I mean, that's, you know, and Gary could obviously expound on this great deal because Gary's ridden so many good horses in his career. You know, you go down there, I'm sure Gary's got down into the paddock a number of occasions and said to himself, I just hope I don't blow it here. Because, you know, that's what you want to be in that position, to be that rider, to be in a position where you're riding horses that are supposed to win as long as you give them a good ride. And, you know, and Gary, obviously one of the great riders of, certainly of my lifetime, if not anybody's lifetime.
And another, as we talked about it earlier, just textbook ride, staying to the inside today with Fancy Feline back in race 3 for Trevor.
Incredible.
Back in race 3. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Couldn't be more happier for Trevor McCarthy, just a guy who worked so tirelessly and hard through the mornings and here into the afternoons, and really, truly a thank you man's rider, as we've discussed. And hopefully he gets my selection here with Enter Sandwoman to the winner's circle. But talking about your favorite in Casilda 40 Tails, you know, last time she kind of came away, broke out, and then just seemed to be in a bit of a tangle, and then she kind of stutter-stepped, almost stumbling there while under a serious, you know, ride to get to the front, because that's where she is most effective. Now, today I noticed, and I wasn't here to do her race on January 1st, but she's wearing a very big cup blinker. I mean, as full of a cup that you can get without being an extension blinker. So I don't know. I think they had that in mind, too, to leave there running and take no prisoners here, guys.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Enter Sandwoman. There's Trevor.
She's another one-number horse, right? Her last race 2 back gives her a chance in here, and the rest of the race is too slow. It's a funny race. I wouldn't knock anybody to take a shot with anyone in this race.
No, favorite as they load up. Casilda 40 Tails, the 6. Jose Ortiz.
This race could be the pick 6 buster if there is one. This race and the 9th race. They're both races where it's very hard to be overly confident of anybody, right?
I agree. Jose, he'll be on board Magic Circle in the Busanda coming up. He's on the favorite here. Let's go to John Embrial.
And they're off. Casilda 40 Tails. This shows first with Captivating Cara and Snicket right behind second and third. That is key. Runs in fourth. Alongside is Mia Be a Star. Now Ancient Brown is moving up down towards the rail. At the back, Bella Principessa and Enter Sandwoman. Casilda 40 Tails leads by 2 lengths, with Snicket in pursuit in second. The quarter went in 22 and 4/5 seconds. It is Casilda 40 Tails on top. Snicket runs in second. Ancient Brown has advanced down on the inside into third. Captivating Cara is alongside in fourth. That is Key is next, followed by the gray, Mia Be a Star, and a Bella Principessa, who's moving up a few spots down towards the rail. The trailer is Enter Sandwoman. They're all chasing Casilda 40 Tails, who ran the opening half in 45 and 2/5 seconds. Snicket remains in second. Bella Principessa is now up to third as they come off the turn and head for home. Casilda 40 Tails with the lead. Snicket on the outside runs in second. Bella Principessa is next in third, and they're at the 8th pole. Casilda 40 Tails trying to hold off Snicket and Bella Principessa. Casilda 40 Tails by 2.5 lengths, and it will be a front-running score here for Casilda 40 Tails, who checks home first as the 6-5 favorite.
Favorite at 6-5. The win in this race was over a couple of jumps in.
Right. Jose Ortiz was aggressive. Dylan Davis was not. Race was over. Once she cleared to the front, she was 1-9 to win this race. You got a 6-5 shot that's probably the best horse in the race, and she doesn't project to be the inside speed, and she ends up being the inside speed. That race is over. And this race, as you say, was over. Strides out of the gate. I credit Jose Ortiz in this case for being alert. I don't think Dylan was going to win on stick it anyway because she doesn't want to win under any circumstances, but still.
And a little warm-up of what we're going to see from Jose coming up in the feature next.
He's not leaving the rail on that filly. And she's going to have the run of the race from down there.
It's Magic Circle, yeah, who has the inside post in the Busanda coming up with Jose aboard. And you got to feel what it's like on the front end here on the favorite. Casilda 40 Tails, 4th win, 15 career starts. She's won 3 of her last 5 now. Good race, bad race. She put in another good one here and found the right field to do it against. 6-3-8-2 here in the 7th at Aqueduct. Busanda on the road to the Kentucky Oaks coming up next. And Rudy Rodriguez, he's dreaming of that first Friday in May with Magic Circle. Can he get there? He'll try and take the next step coming up. We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. Our program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. We're going to head back to Hot Springs. Race 5, Oaklawn. Kicks off the late pick 5 sequence. 2-turn mile. Lower level claiming race. $6,000 claiming tag. So they're all up for sale in this race. And Love Nest, Ron Moquette, John Court team up on a 7-year-old coming off a win last time out for 8,000. We'll get to him in a moment. We start with Seekin' Justice.
Seekin' Justice looks to be in a little bit tough here. Would need to dramatically improve.
The aforementioned Love Nest comes off that win. That was at Oaklawn.
Yeah, the problem is that there seems, at least on paper, to be plenty of other speed. They should be moving up front in here.
12-time winner with the veteran on board. We'll have more on later in the show. John Court still riding strong into his 60s. So Alive, just claimed by Jason Barkley. Excuse me, not claimed. Jason Barkley, the trainer.
Second time for Jason Barkley. Would have to improve to win.
Dr. Foreman, 5-time winner. Paul Holthus.
Another horse who potentially could be part of the pace is dropping a little bit in the air, but doing a conditional 10,000 claim or 2 back, stretching out.
Meistermind taking some money here with David Cohen.
I don't bet ex Diodoro horses. This horse has not run in 9 months.
Now with Norm McKnight. Flat Out Justice. Last start in the mud was a no-show.
Yeah, it was good in the race the horse was claimed, but has not run well since the claim.
Splash for Gold. 6-time winner on dirt.
Another stretch out. Doesn't this horse look a little better, though, on synthetic, recently at least?
I would agree with that. Major Brown, 26-1 Kelsey Har.
Yes, tough to make on paper. Another horse could be forward in theory.
An even bigger price next door on an 11-time winner, this 8-year-old.
I mean, I don't know if this horse should be 31-1, though the last race was a disaster. The race 2 back gives this horse a chance to get a piece.
Yeah, one at a tougher
Seems
level
like a
at
big
Churchill.
price for that horse's PPs.
Coach Adams, 2-1.
Horse to beat, but it is a Diodoro horse, claimed for 8,000, running for 62.5, has speed, should be forward, logical horse.
Was beat, though, last out by Love Nest. There's the 11-something Natural, another player.
I know this horse is dropping, but this horse is a massive overlay, in my opinion, at 10-1 on the drop down. I'm going to have to bet this horse at this price.
Coming out of a 30 claiming down to 6.
I'm betting this horse.
That's what I say, the 12, 43-1.
Well, here's what I say. Good luck.
3 minutes away, 5th at Oaklawn. So this race kicks off the pick 5. Part of the sequence, of course, that feature where we're going to see the return of Happy Mac. Let's go to JK.
Yeah, look, this is a situation where I got a couple of horses. Look, I think the 10's going to probably win here. The horse definitely has numbers that fit. You got to think there's going to be an improve with the switch to Diodoro, second off of a break, outside draw, blah, 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 blah. But I think that another horse that's kind of interesting is the 3, So Alive. When it comes to horses who at one point had shown talent and they continue to switch hands, I'm hopeful that at some point these horses might find some of what they had with just a whole different scenario. So Alive won first out at Keeneland. That takes a little bit of talent to win and break your maiden at Keeneland. It's a very important aspect of talent. But this horse just hasn't really panned out to be anything else. Maybe switching to Jason Barkley's barn. Horse ran well enough last time at a low level, ran an okay figure on a sloppy racetrack, first off a break, and just maybe the 3 So Alive can kind of show what he's shown in the past. But like I said, I think the 10's the most likely winner. But at a short price, give me the 3 So Alive to show me what he did one day at Keeneland.
A horse who, it was a few years ago now, 2019, but he was on the Triple Crown Trail briefly, including a distant third in the Sam F. Davis.
Well, at one time in his life, he was a very different horse than he is now. He's a price. Jonathan likes him. I wish him the best of luck. I didn't see it. I'm not betting this rider, who has not been having a particularly good meet, to say the least. But listen, he's a price. I took a price as well. I like the 11 as an upsetter. I bet the 11 to win and played a 10-11 exacta, small box, and a 10-11 press.
Meanwhile, this horse here just beat Coach Adams, who's the favorite. But it shows you the power of Diodoro. Diodoro claims the 10, that horse favorite, but Love Nest just handled this horse pretty easily.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point, no question about it. But the Diodoro claim, as you say, is such a powerful, his numbers off the claim of routers, but it's a good point. I'm not going to argue it. So Love Nest comes in from Mahoning Valley and Belterra and runs his best race. Sort of surprising, right? But he ran it. Not just last, he can win it. The problem is he may have been better forward, and I don't see him being forward in this race, but maybe I'm wrong.
He does. Look, he likes to win. That was the 12th win of his career, even though it was first try at Oaklawn. But he proved he was up to the challenge against this kind of competition last time out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking at his PPs. I don't know where his last race came from, but he ran well in that race, no question about it. I wasn't following Oaklawn at that point. I don't know if he took advantage of the racetrack, but he ran. But as you say, the power of Diodoro, and for rightfully so.
Still got the feature coming up in New York. That's the Busanda on the road to the Kentucky Oaks, back in race 7. Cazilda 40 Tails. Jose Ortiz put this one in front, never looked back.
No, I was not right that race was a potential pick 6 buster, because this thing is chalking out so far. And wow, heavy favorite down the rail.
Very formful with 6-horse field in the feature to come, and then difficult nightcap. But we'll get to that Busanda next, where again Jose Ortiz is going to look to go back-to-back. He'll be on the primary speed from the rail. Magic Circle for Rudy Rodriguez, but it's back to Oaklawn right now. You kind of alluded to it with Love Nest, the 2, and you do have to be a little skeptical. Can he repeat that effort again next time out? But again, 12-time winner. The fact that you're getting 7-2 to take that chance is a little enticing.
No, I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not arguing with that. That horse ran last time. I don't like him on his other races, but off his last race, he has a chance. It's just like the other thing is, I mean, I'm looking at it, but he's a horse that's run well going long before. So it's not like he's one of these sprinters that stretched out and was effective. He's got races going long besides that. They're good. So I'm not going to make a big argument against this horse. I just don't like one-number type horses, and he's kind of a bit of a one-number horse, at least recently, but he does have back races.
So loading up the rematch here between Love Nest, who won that race, and the horse who's now favored over him in the rematch, the 10. Coach Adams trying to turn the tables, moving to the Robertino Diodoro barn, one of the absolute best claimers in this game. See if he can get it done here first off the claim. Ramon Vasquez rides. He'll be in post 10. 2 7-year-olds in a rematch going head-to-head to kick off this late pick 5. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call.
Meistermind up next, then Coach Adams. Flat Out Justice goes into gate 6. 2 more now. Something Natural, and That's What I Say. They're at the post. They're off. Good start for Dr. Foreman and Seek Injustice. Meistermind and Something Natural are next. Then comes Love Nest, Flat Out Justice, and Major Brown. Coach Adams is midfield. So Alive is next. Then Splash for Gold and Altito. And the trailer is That's What I Say. Seek Injustice from Dr. Foreman to the backstretch. Seek Injustice a length in front. Dr. Foreman is second, 2.5 lengths to Love Nest and Meistermind together third and fourth. Another 2 lengths to Flat Out Justice and Something Natural. Coach Adams has 10 lengths to make up. He's just outside of Major Brown. Splash for Gold is next. So Alive is 12 from the front, and then a big gap of 5 back to That's What I Say and Altito. 20 lengths first to last, midway on the backstretch, and Seek Injustice is trying to get to the 16th pole first. That's the finish line, and he's 5 lengths in front. Seek Injustice in charge. Coach Adams is moving up on the outside, and so is Dr. Foreman. Here's Dr. Foreman into second, cutting into the margin. Flat Out Justice is next. Then comes Something Natural. 3.5 back to Meistermind, Splash for Gold, and at the rail, Major Brown. Then comes So Alive, far back to That's What I Say and Altito. Seek Injustice, Dr. Foreman comes calling for the lead. New leader, top of the stretch, Dr. Foreman. Now 2 in front of Something Natural in a second. Flat Out Justice is next, and they run to the top of the stretch with Dr. Foreman the one to catch. He's got a 2-length lead over Something Natural in second. Then to the outside and Love Nest. Coach Adams no better than fourth right now. Dr. Foreman and Something Natural, and Dr. Foreman's got it, and he's well in front. Dr. Foreman in front. Dr. Foreman beat Something Natural by 3. Splash for Gold was third. Close for fourth. Maybe Flat Out Justice over Love Nest.
Well, they stretched this horse back out, who'd been a multiple winner. 2 wins, 2 seconds. There's only 4 tries going this distance. Seems like he's bested a mile.
Yeah, he was aggressive and he earned help, but he does have that speed. It's stretched out, and he was very effective. You know, he'd run some decent figs, more out of town, but even 2 back. But, you know, in non-winners of a race in a year, but he moved up and he ran well. Nice job by him. I thought I was getting the money with my 11, but he was second best here, no doubt about it.
Road to the Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies. Picks up here in the Busanda. Feature on this Sunday card at Aqueduct, Magic Circle. Has speed, has the rail, and an even money favorite. Coming up, we're approaching the 10-minute mark to post. Can Magic Circle get the first stakes win of her career? Coming up. Back on America's Day at the Races, our feature coming up next on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. Our program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. 2-turn mile and an 1/8 test for 3-year-old fillies. And here's the Oaks prep schedule in New York that lies ahead.
And you look at some of those races, well, the next 2, the Busher and the Gazelle, they were won by a horse named Search Results last year, and she got beaten ahead in the Kentucky Oaks. She's training
battle.
again, by the way, worked this morning.
What a battle with Malathot.
That was a great
in that
race.
Oaks.
That race and the Coaching Club American Oaks were the best races in that division for the year, for sure.
Magic Circle, there she is, 6-5 favorite, trying to get the first stakes win of her career. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Taking a look at Magic Circle here in the paddock, and she's always presented herself as a progressive, what was 2-year-old filly, going back to all of her races last year. She's just that much more physically mature, that much stronger than the rest of her competition. And I like, too, the fact now she's kind of evening out that frame a bit. You know, a lot of times with the younger horses, they develop more behind the saddle, and then their front end does or doesn't eventually catch up, and hers is. And I like that with regards to her getting more ground. Yes, she's a Cantheros on the top, but she does have the distorted humor bloodline on the bottom, so that's a good influence for getting the distance. And she's very settled today, which I think is good for her, trying to get the 9 furlongs again. And I get it. You know, connections want to go down the Kentucky Oaks line. Why not? And 2, Rudy Rodriguez has been on record of saying that she was reacting in those 2 races when she drifted out to Manny Franco's left inside crop. So we do see Jose Ortiz aboard today, and Rudy has also said that you can't kind of sneak up on her with the crop. You kind of have to show her a little more and just be easier on her with it. So we'll see what happens. Yes, I don't think it's a great sign when you're wondering about the track in the last eighth of trying to get the 9 furlongs, but I like the progression from that race in the Demoiselle to this one here from a physical standpoint. Moving on to the New York bred, that's number 3, Morning Matcha. I was a little dubious of her, well, consistently throughout her career sprinting, because every time I saw her, I say, once longer, needs to go longer. Well, she won quite easily with the fastest race of her career, going the 2 turns at Parks 2 starts ago, and then was only getting on track late, too late, in the New York Stallion Series race wired by Yo Cuz. I think this is a much better distance for her. She's so long, so rangy. She looks fantastic here. I mean, she looks resplendent in her coat. I like everything I'm seeing from her, and she just has that right disposition of a horse that wants to go this kind of distance, just laid back, very classy, and well within herself. Moving on to number 6, Rosebud. Well, from day one, I said, once long, not turf. I'm getting it here. We'll see what she does. Here, she's one that hasn't necessarily progressed that much from the physical standpoint. From 2 to 3. She looks great here. She's very, very well turned out. But she was one that was kind of bigger, longer as a 2-year-old, and everybody's kind of surpassed her so far. So we'll see what she can do getting back on a fast track and whether her performance last time was enhanced by the slot. But I have always thought that distance could be her friend, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. I mean, that maiden win, it was impressive. She made this move really without being asked, just going around this field.
This was a joke. Now, I understand it was a wet track. It was favoring speed, though. She was in the pace with a Chad Brown first-time start. It took a lot of money that backed up badly. You know, if this were a fair racetrack, I'd make an enormous bet on this horse. Now, I don't think she'd be 7-2 if it were a fair track, but I think she may be good. I feel like the barn made a mistake in going to the turf with her. She ran 4th in a very strong maiden race behind some good horses, including the talented Gerrymander, who was second Echo Zulu in the Frizette and won the Tempted and beat Magic Circle. Go back to the dirt, she, not surprisingly, ran really well. You know, Maggie has good things there with the distance. I'm a big fan of this horse. I like her a lot. I'm worried the racetrack's going to help Magic Circle and hurt her, but at 7-2, I'm going to find out, that's for sure.
She's got big potential. Her dam ran in this race, wound up 4th. She saved her best for last, so the only graded stakes win of her career for Tanger Rose came in her final start.
Is that right? What do you know?
In the Sabin.
Wow, really? That's interesting. Sabin, of course. Sabin was a Woody Stevens, Henry de Kwiatkowski horse, I believe. A very good turf horse. They had that race named for her at Gulfstream. It's probably a mile 16th. I don't think they had the one-turn mile when she won the Sabin. But she was a nice horse, Tanger Rose. I believe she was owned by Mike Rutherford, who owns this horse and bred her.
Well, that's her main competition, who is going to have the run of the racetrack in here, has that inside post where Jose opted to go. But, you know, Maggie touched on it. We talked about it earlier, too. 2 starts in a row where Manny Franco had gone to the riding crop. She shied away from it. Does she not want a mile and an eighth? Is that a question at all?
It is to me. Under these circumstances, she's probably going to get it. Maybe she's just young and immature and figuring it out. I don't know. I have some concerns. She's a Canteros. You know, the other thing about this race was, and she ran respectfully. She
would have been
Bayer.
DQ'd had she got second, probably.
Feels like it, yeah, because she fouled the horse outside of her. Also, Nest covered about 800. I mean, the numbers on Trackus, Nest was never inside the 4 or 5 path in this race, and Magic Circle is on the rail. I mean, she's had the run of her races. She may have it again here, and she's a nice horse. I don't mean to knock her, but I think there are some reasons to think she may be a little dressed up.
Well, she's going to be in front, as Jose Ortiz was in the last race. You got to think you're 3-2 favorite.
I think Jose's onto the gold rail.
Waters of Maram, Chad Brown and Louis Lazzaro, they won this race last year with the grass is blue.
Yeah, that was a private. Both those horses were private purchases for Louis Lazzaro that went to Chad Brown. Waters of Maram is the waters are getting deeper.
Morning Matcha 9-5 here.
I'm surprised she's taking this much money, but her race 2 back was fast enough to give her a chance.
Game stock lovers, game stonks.
I don't get this horse at all, but my friend David Aragona, who's very sharp, likes her.
Looked great warming up. Here's Reigning Chick, who has only 1 start. It was a win at 7/8.
But she needs to get significantly faster, but 1 start, she could always improve.
And Rosebud, who looks like she has a world of upside.
I don't know if she can get a trip that's going to work out for her in this race, but I think she's got some real talent, and I do think we may hear from her going forward.
Busanda, winner, getting 10 points to get into that starting gate for the Kentucky Oaks. Let's go to JK.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my best bet of the day was the 1 Magic Circle for all the reasons that I discussed. If you missed those, basically, this horse runs well fresh. I thought the horse ran well enough going 9. Also ran well going the 1-turn mile, 9 furlongs, the 1-turn mile as well. So I just feel like the distance isn't necessarily an issue. Just if, the distance was a problem, I think the tactical ability for Magic Circle and the draw on the rail that appears to be where you want to be should carry her home if the 9 furlongs is a problem, and I'm wrong about that. I don't think it's a problem, so I think she should be tough from the inside. But what we've noticed is what can potentially happen is, and we saw it yesterday as well, is once the track becomes kind of known to all the riders and they really start to pay attention to it, or at least are forced to pay attention to it, other riders start being aggressive, and Magic Circle suddenly could find herself in a duel, and that could be problematic. That's why I think that the 3 Morning Matcha is at least interesting. Morning Matcha will likely spend a majority of the early part of the race down on the inside on the rail, which is just fine. She'll save ground on the turn. She'll be on the good part of the racetrack, likely have to tip out late. But if the pace is fast enough, it could fall right back into her lap. If she gets lucky enough to stay up the inside, and we know Kendrick will stay glued there as long as he can, she can win as well. I just think Magic Circle is loose. I can't play against Magic Circle thinking that she might meet some kamikaze type speed duel, and I have to play it where I think she's going to end up loose on the inside, but I do think you want to have the 3 Morning Matcha in your mix because she could come picking up the pieces.
All right, JK, thanks. I mean, she has her game face on. She looks tremendous here, warming up at 8-5.
8-5, wow. There's like an announce going on about this horse, like an email went out that I didn't get.
No, I didn't get it either.
She was 6-1 morning line. Clear-cut third choice. I think 6-1.
7-2.
7-2, excuse me. Still. What? Wow.
Well, another one who made a nice appearance and comes in off back-to-back wins out of town is next door in Game Stonks. Let's go to Maggie.
Well, you said it, Greg. You look great out on the racetrack. A filly that is really nicely put together, incredibly athletic. Look, Brittany Russell, though, she's a high percentage trainer, but her horses show that. They come here to New York every time I see them. They are really well turned out. And even when she had horses stabled here, too, and her assistant Amanda doing a great job with them. So I like her appearance. She's moving very well. My question is she one that really ultimately gets better with more ground? I know she broke her maiden going a mile and a 16th around 2 turns. 2 turns at Parks. I get it. Those were not as good of the fields as she's going to meet here, but she did power through that field. She was last going into the first turn, and she just steadily picked off horse by horse by horse to really put some distance between her and the rest of the foes. I don't necessarily like her as a win candidate, but I do think she can get a piece of this if she can stay the 9 furlongs. She does have that very, very athletic appearance.
And nowhere near the backing that GameStop had on its miracle run in the stock market this year.
You know, GameStop actually got as low as 92 and change on Friday. But the good news is while the market plummeted, it got back over 100.
Good to hear.
A lot of people are going to end up getting buried in that stock when it goes back to 2.
Trevor McCarthy riding for Brittany Russell. So we know Trevor acutely aware of what's happening with this racetrack, how it's playing. But even money on Magic Circle, and she's going to be tough to beat here with the speed she possesses and where she's drawn.
She is. I agree. I totally agree with you. And I think that the door is still open for her to be a player in this division. I'm not. I feel really she's the kind of horse that might be better going shorter. It doesn't make me right about her. And listen, once again, this division, you take Echo Zulu out of this division, and it's about as wide open as you can get.
And we thought there was some thought Hitting Connection was going to be a true threat. She proved not to be, at least on Breeders' Cup Day.
She didn't break that day, but still, I mean, she didn't run a step.
Yeah. Can someone else rise to the challenge? Magic Circle, even money. Expect to see an aggressive Jose Ortiz and expect him not to go to that riding crop if he gets in a dogfight down the lane. She has not reacted well to it. John Imbrial with the call. This Kentucky Oaks prep, the Busanda.
all in. And they're off. Waters of Miram. Magic Circle now moves up at the rail, and it will be Magic Circle to grab the lead going into the clubhouse turn. Magic Circle is on top and is clear by 2 lengths. Then comes Waters of Miram, who's running in second. On the outside is Rosebug. Down towards the rail, Reigning Chick. Break of 3 to the 2 trailers, Morning Matcha and Game Stonks. As the field heads for the backstretch, it is the even money favorite Magic Circle who has the lead here by 1 1/4 lengths, and the opening quarter mile went in 24-1. Rosebug in second now by 1.5 lengths with Waters of Miram next in third, 3.5 lengths back to Reigning Chick, another 3 to Morning Matcha, and then Game Stonks as the field continues up the backstretch with Magic Circle setting the pace and leading here by 1 length. Rosebug in second, half-mile went in 48-1. And the 3-year-old fillies continue along here with Magic Circle on top. Magic Circle 3/4 length. Rosebug on the outside is second by 3 lengths. Waters of Miram is in third. Then Reigning Chick, followed by Morning Matcha. And farther back in the field is Game Stonks. It is Magic Circle who has been in control right from the start. Leads by 1.5 lengths. Rosebug in second. Morning Matcha now gaining some ground and is up into third as they hit the quarter pole. Magic Circle has opened up on the field now. Magic Circle has built a 4-length lead. Morning Matcha on the outside takes second. It is Magic Circle with a commanding lead and 1/8 of a mile to the finish. Morning Matcha is in second. It's Magic Circle. She's been in front right from the start under jockey Jose Ortiz, and it will be Magic Circle who bounds home in the Busanda. Magic Circle by 2.5 lengths. Morning Matcha was second. Reigning Chick came on for third.
Never in question, Magic Circle got to the front and handles this 1 1/8 gate to wire on the front end.
Yeah, when you're able to control on a racetrack like this, and you're a talented filly, and she is absolutely a talented filly, it's an almost impossible circumstance to overcome. You know, I don't know how much time Morning Match actually spent in the rail in this race. I'd have to watch the early part of the race. And she actually ran well to be second here. She justified the money. Rosebug, not the right trip stalking on the outside, but she was bad. She backed up badly. And it shows how strong the rail is because the 5, Reigning Chick, Jelen Samuel, he's paying attention, and he gave her every good chance, and nothing wrong with picking up third in this race for a second start and a big improvement. And that rail is really exaggerating performances. Morning Matcha ran well in defeat here.
Yeah, that's one to keep your eyes on next time out. Daughter of Central Banker. Pennsylvania bred, by the way. But it's Magic Circle, controls from the outset. And Jose Ortiz, he made the right call.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did. And you know, listen, this is not the kind of performance that I'm going to get carried away going forward, but I can't knock her for winning the race. She did what she had to do at 1 1/8 miles coming off a layoff. I think the question there ultimately is which distances will serve her. She's got talent. How much talent? We'll find out. It's a long year. There's nothing wrong with starting your year off in this way. This is the right way to start it.
Rudy Rodriguez, we went deep into our research teams well. Condo Commando is only prior Kentucky Oaks starter.
And some people will remember Condo Commando as being the winner of Tom Durkin's final call at Saratoga. She was the horse that was simply splash-tastic when she won the Spinaway.
And there's Rudy, hoping to at least continue on the path, and he will, no question, after this on that road to the Kentucky Oaks. This filly, as you mentioned, she's tackled some really tough company, and she's held her own. Hadn't won yet in a stakes race until today. Today she gets things her own way, and who's to say she can't keep progressing?
And she has the same name as a Woody Stevens Russell Reinman horse from many, many years ago. So you got that going for her, too. That's before you were born, Greg. I was in my 20s, but it was before you were born.
Okay. Back-to-back wins. Jose Ortiz.
I think.
Had a Derby horse taken from him, right? Sold at the last minute? Was that War Emblem?
Who? Which?
Or am I
Russell Reinman. I think he sold War Emblem.
Yeah.
I think that's a good call. It was Harvey Veneer trained him, right? I think Harvey Veneer trained his horses in the Midwest.
Okay.
But I think that's a very good call. I wasn't taking it from under him. He sold him.
Yeah. 6th at Oaklawn. It's a
He got
made
the money.
special weight.
He didn't come out broke.
No. Most impressive, Jason Barkley.
Yeah, as we move on to race number 6. Excuse me, Greg. We'll see what happens there. There's some tough favorites in this race.
$500,000 in Nyquist for Steve Asmussen with Santana Jr.
That is a crazy price, right? With that pedigree, the dam was unraced.
Yeah.
She's produced three bad foals, 2 okay. Wow.
Aurelia Garland, first out winner, Diamonds and Pearls. Here's Firewolves, Brad Cox.
Yeah, the 3 and 4 on paper, the right 2 horses. I don't know how the 3-piece peddler is 10-1. Firewolves makes some sense stretching out for Brad Cox. Not stretching, excuse me, second-time starter.
Tasha, Alex Conchari aboard, Speightstown, Philly.
It's a big price first time and a big price again.
24-1, Zamuda, just claimed off of Kenny McPeak.
I think is waiting for Andy Kaufman, right? Wasn't
Is
it Bob Zamuda?
Oh.
Wasn't that his friend?
Okay. Can't help you. Sorry.
Man of the Moon? I think Bob Zamuda was Andy Kaufman's friend. Co-worker.
Blinkers on Lasix on this daughter at Tap of the 7.
Yeah, she would have to improve off her debut off the turf at Keeneland.
Decade of Dreams, first-time starter, Diodoro, Bullet Gate Drill.
This horse is after a very nice horse who I know you know, Midnight Storm, a California horse who's good at dirt and turf.
Here's Muse, Ron Moquette, Joel Rosario with an Into Mischief.
Interesting seeing Joel riding this horse for Ron Moquette, right? Doesn't feel like we see him on a lot of Moquette horses.
Mainly with Asmussen.
Must be a story on this firster, right?
Madeline's Magic, 5-1, start number 3.
Yeah, would probably have to improve. Maybe the story of Muse is that it's the house horse with Louis Sella as the owner.
Yeah.
Why is the 3 8-1 in this race, Greg? Right?
And why is the 2 6-1? Let's find out more from Gary Stevens.
Yeah, guys, the 9-horse Muse, not a typical looking Into Mischief. She's very quarter horse looking and very intelligent. Joelle just broke off away from the pony. She loped off like a filly that had run and done this before. So I think the word was out on her. She opened up at a shorter price, drifting up to 6-1 right now. Then the 4-horse Firewolves. Looks like she's 6-5 right now. She looks like she's got a skin disease that is dried up, so not infectious right now, but it is kind of going around the backside. Just something caught my eye when she had walked by me on her way into the paddock. And then good point about the 3-horse, Andy, Peace Peddler. She was bet down. The 5-2 first time out, showed a ton of speed and stopped. And Giovanni Franco has worked her a couple of times, and he was told to just cruise around there. Therefore, the slow works in her last couple of workouts, very relaxed workouts, but she looked good in the paddock. And those are the 3 that really caught my eye out here. The 8 also a little bit, a daughter of American Pharaoh for Robertino Diodoro. This filly, she walked by. Looked very, very intelligent on the racetrack coming into the paddock. When she got onto the racetrack, she was a little bit fractious with the pony, and she settled down quite a bit from the time she got down to the end of at the 8th pole and turned around to jog off. So the first-time starters, the 9 would be my pick of the first-time starters, but I think the 3 is value at 7, and the 4 at 6-5, obviously the one to beat. Guys?
All right, Gary, thanks. This is going to kick off the pick 4. We'll get back to it in a moment. Magic Circle, first stakes win of her career. Taking the Busanda, Rudy Rodriguez, Jose Ortiz team up. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Here with winning trainer Rudy Rodriguez, always one of my favorite interviews, but Rudy Magic Circle, she just put it all together today. You know, you had been cited as saying that she reacts negatively to the crop, and she was straight as an arrow today.
You know, we got to give the credit to Jose. We just try to tell her, you know, she don't tolerate too much whipping. I think she's more comfortable up, and I tell him if you're going to hit it, just don't surprise her, kind of show him, and she will respond. But, you know, just all the connections, and Don Jose for giving me the opportunity to train this horse, and the guy helped me to pick up this filly, Chompero, and, you know, all good people around, so hopefully we keep the filly continue training the way she is, and we hope for the best next time.
Well, Rudy, I wanted to ask you, because physically she looked as though she's taken another step forward, but she is one that you've always liked. So the distance question, as you look for the next race, obviously the Busher kind of cuts back to a mile, and then there's the Gazelle at a mile and 1/8. Do you skip the Busher?
I'm going to let the boss decide what we got to do, and then we take it from there, you know. she's a nice filly, and thank God she's nice and sound, and we just gotta be happy that we have him in the barn for sure.
One day at a time, I know, but how amazing would it be to get to the Kentucky Oaks again?
Oh, that'd be amazing for sure. You know, that's all we're here for. You know, try to get to that big races over there, and you know, I hope the filly keep improving and take it from there.
Rudy, congratulations, job well done.
Thank you, Maggie.
All right, Magic Circle with the win in the Busanda today. And as Rudy said, he would be elated to get back on to the Kentucky Oaks Trail. But Greg, here he is on the trail.
It'd be fantastic. We saw him in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint on the big stage. He'd love to get back to the big stage in the Oaks this year. And if that was so long, farewell for Jose Ortiz, too. Nice way to go out.
Yeah, not a bad way to go. He's going down to Florida. He'll be riding a Gulfstream rest of the winter. He's coming back to ride early voting, who worked today, apparently worked very well today. The first-time starter Chad Brown that won earlier than me. He's going to ride him in the Withers, but we wish Jose the best of luck down in Florida, wherever he ends up riding these. He'll be shipping out of town for some races, too.
How do you feel when you look at this? And I look at it, and it's been incredibly chalky, and I still wouldn't have had it.
I've lost some money today, but I feel glad I didn't lose more. When you and I see those kind of prices, we're not unhappy that we didn't lose more. I got to bet the 3 at Oaklawn. I don't understand how this horse is 6-1. I don't love this horse, but I think he makes a ton of sense in this race, and I think he's way, way, way too big a price.
$200,000 daughter of Gunrunner showed speed. She was on the front end in that debut, backed up to third. She took a lot of money for Richard Boltis, and start number 2 ahead. Yeah, being ignored on the board. Everyone going to Brad Cox and Florent Giroux.
Well, the other thing I would say is it's not like the firsters are really getting bet in this race, right? So I don't, you know, it's not like I'm that afraid of some of the firsters here. I mean, you got an Asmussen firster that's 7-1. You know, Rosario's another horse of price in there. So it's not like they're really betting that hard on any firsters. And I thought the 3 ran much better than his current odds.
We'll say that the dam of the 2 for Asmussen did produce 2 first-time out winners. $500,000 daughter of Nyquist. He's got Santana Jr. aboard, and I believe 6-1 at last look.
Yeah, this horse is taking no. That's a big price for Nyquist. It's a lot of money.
Vic Stauffer with the call. Here's the pick 4 from Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Firewolves broke very well. So did Peace Pledler and Tasha. Extreme Gem is close up. Then comes a Zamuda and Campaigning through the outside and Decade of Dreams, then Muse. And most impressive, and the trailer is Madeline's Magic. Peace Peddler and Tasha up the backstretch. Peace Peddler's a neck in front. Tasha is second, 3/4 of a length to Extreme Gem. These 3 are now 4 lengths in front of Decade of Dreams. Firewolves is between horses, and Campaigning is at the rail. They're all about 5 from the front. Then comes a Zamuda, 2.5 back to Madeline's Magic and Muse. The trailer is most impressive, and the leader is Peace Peddler. Peace Peddler to the quarter pole, a 2-length lead on Tasha in second. Extreme Gem is joined and passed by Decade of Dreams. Madeline's Magic just splits horses, but she's still 6 from the front. Peace Peddler is the one to catch. It is Peace Peddler, final furlong. Madeline's Magic is now rolling. She's about to run into second, but she's got 5 lengths to make up and only a 16th to do it, as Peace Peddler is well in front. Peace Peddler hanging on that left lead, but she's got a lot of lengths to work with. Madeline's Magic is second. Peace Peddler in front. Peace Peddler won by 3. Madeline's Magic good second. Decade of Dreams was third, and Firewolves finished 4th.
Peace Peddler, no doubt about it. Victory here, second time out.
I'm just astounded this horse is 7-1. The number 4, who was even money, ran a 75 by her first time out. This horse ran a 71. Even money and 7-1. This horse projected to be the speed. It's got an excellent rider on his back. I don't feel like I made a smart pick. I just felt like this horse should have paid about $7, and I wouldn't have bet a nickel on him. She won easily. He's a gun runner.
Gunrunner, the dam, a multiple graded stakes winner on synthetic, albeit, but still. Giovanni Franco, Team Gary Stevens, well done.
He's a good rider, and he did everything right here. He rode the way Gary would have ridden him. You know, I'd love to look. I mean, I remember, you know, Uncle Mo. Didn't Uncle Mo have an incredible first season at stud? I'd like to look at some of the horses and numbers of Uncle Mo and Gunrunner, because doesn't it feel like we're talking about Gunrunner, good-looking horses from him just every day?
We've never seen anything like it in a long time. That his initial season with his 2-year-olds, And it's continuing.
He'll be a disappointment because I don't know how he keeps it up.
He's got nowhere to go but down
Right, I mean,
now.
right.
Peace Peddler, gate to wire, impressive victory and a nice price as well. Nice selection, Andy Serling. We're going to take a timeout. Handicap division, Mandaloun, Midnight Bourbon. They went head-to-head in the Louisiana. We'll take a look back from the fairgrounds from Saturday and what lies ahead for the winner next. Back on America's Day at the Races, Nightcap from New York coming up on this Sunday card. $25,000 claiming race. Horses who've not won 2 in their career. Sprinting, 6 furlongs coming up. It's been a very formful afternoon. And in this race coming up, 4 horses between 5 to 2 or 4 to 9 to 2 on the board, I should say.
Did we say Dylan Davis has 3 wins today or 2? He had at least 2.
3. He has 3.
Yeah, I thought you said 3. There could be a 4th Davis winner today. Jackie Davis could win the last. Jackie had a winner yesterday. I like Jackie as a rider, and I think she has a chance to wire him with Valentium.
He got his 3rd on customer experience.
There we go. Class ceiling. This could be the 4th win for the Davis family. What about Seahorse Dioro, the 8 off the layoff for Ray Handel? Claimed in October and now comes back 3 months later. Thought that horse was dangerous.
All right, we'll get to him in a moment. Let's talk this one. Half Day Pam, Tom Morley, start number 2 in the mud at Aqueduct, was a winner almost a year ago.
Well, I think what's really exciting about it, Greg, you know, much like Affirmed in Alidar, he and Tell a Perfect Tale 11 months later get to renew their battle and their rivalry. I mean, Tell a Perfect Tale has been wondering where Half Day Pam was hiding. Well, she's out, and she's out for Tom Morley. Trainer changed to Tom, and she's got some speed, and she's got Trevor McCarthy. She'll maybe get the right trip. She needs to get faster, though, doesn't she? A little bit.
Tell a Perfect Tale or Half Day Pam?
Both of them.
Yeah, probably both of them do.
They're just happy to see each other in the paddock, right?
Well, Tell a Perfect
Jackie.
Tale was 11-1. Yeah, Jackie Davis will be on, is it Violent I Am?
I think it's Valentium,
okay.
I believe. I am a Jackie Davis fan. I think Jackie is a terrific rider. You know, she'll come to New York sometimes ride in the winter. She began riding in New York.
$56 winner earlier this week?
Yesterday, yeah. Riding the gold rail, sending a horse that didn't even look like speed to the front. She's a smart rider, and I like Jackie's rider. And she's one of these riders, she's not going to get a lot of mounts. But I'm always happy to see her on a horse I like. I never worry that Jackie's not going to do the right thing.
8-1 on her mount coming up in here. The win came in Aqueduct December 2020 for that one. Here's Heeman Harkey on Tell a Perfect Tale, who was behind that horse we showed you. 4 starts later would win.
That's a weird win last time. It looked like it had it won and then sort of dropped back and almost lost the race. God, we are still at Belmont.
Wow.
You see November at Belmont, it just seems strange, right?
Write this down. Blinkers on.
Only ran once on the dirt, and that was career debut in the slop, and didn't run that badly from a speed figure standpoint.
Horse just got drilled at this level and is favored right now.
Yeah, well, claimed by Rudy Rodriguez, Manny Franco. I'm not a fan, but I guess she could win. I can't bet her off her last race.
Valentium, we'll go with that. Carl Grusmark.
I believe that Jackie's going to the front here, and I'm going to bet on her.
Half Day Pam showed you it's been a long time off.
I can't take these kind of layoffs, and she'd have to improve, but in this field, I'm not going to say anyone can't win.
Rider changed Raul Mania on Handle the Truth 21-1.
I don't know what the truth is for this horse, but I can handle it.
Seahorse Doro. Blinkers off. Was that the original line?
Yeah, I think that was the line.
Jack Nicholson
He
spoke?
perverted the line in the movie and ruined everything. I think this horse is very dangerous for Ray Handel. Is having a terrific meet.
And Dylan Davis, Mazel 18.
Sort of second by default last time in a track that was very kind to speed and just has had a lot of chances. It's got a little bit of snicket in her, right?
Yeah.
13 starts to win in 5 seconds and 3/3.
I know it's changing, but husband and wife can't be in the same race, but brother and sister can.
Yeah, I feel like there's a direction I'm just going to stay completely out of that conversation.
That rule is changing, though.
Is
so
that
that's
true?
Good news.
Well, they're talking about changing, yes.
I believe it is changing.
We hope so.
8-1, Jackie Davis on Valentium. You're taking a look at. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
I'm not sure it's Valentium. I've always heard Violent I Am. Guess we'll see what John and Brielle does. We're talking about that filly by Violence. I like her. I mean, she came into the paddock with authority. She's bouncing on her toes. Jackie's so funny. They went to hook up with the pony. She's like, you're going right to the pony because you are not being taken away from that pony today, because she was just so full of energy. So I like everything that she's showing me here today for this effort, getting back to a fast track. Now to her outside, another daughter of Violence in number 6, Half Day Pam. As she beat Perfect Tale in their next outing. And obviously my husband, Tom Morley, has had both of these horses, and Perfect Tale is one that she really didn't like to win much. She did get it done last time out, but so Half Day Pam came back and got the edge over her. Half Day Pam was a very slight filly as a newly turned 3-year-old last year, and she has done some growing. She's done some filling out, which I appreciate. Oh, Jackie being brave, taking Violent I Am away from the pony. But Half Day Pam, she has progressed, which I like to see, and she looks fairly fit heading into this effort. Very calm, very settled. So I don't know how sharp she is going to be, despite having some early foot, which she didn't have in that debut. So I'm wondering if she's a horse that kind of needs a race to kind of wake up a bit. But I do like the way that she's been training heading into this effort off the bench. And then we'll check in with number 8, Seahorse Doro, who is named that because she literally has a seahorse on her face. Her white marking looks exactly like a seahorse. And Ray took her back, which I thought was interesting because I thought he was pleased to lose her for the 40. Now, he turns her back in distance, which I was skeptical of, but she ran her best race 2 back, going the 6.5. Still skeptical. Blinkers come off. I just wish she looked a bit stronger. She's just a little weak across that top line, having to deal with that layoff dating back to late October, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. We're going to close out this New York card here coming up. We still have a lot more coming up from Hot Springs, so don't go away. Feature still ahead at Oaklawn Park, along with more action in that late pick 5 and late pick 4 sequence. Favorite becomes this outside runner here, Mazel 18. Dylan Davis.
Well, I'm predicting Davis is going to win. They think it's the other one, but Source has got to get the right trip from the outside post. Good luck to her. This could blow up all the favorites winning in the sequence in the pick 6. Who knows?
Very formful all afternoon long.
It'll be the biggest price in the pick 6 sequence, regardless of who wins. I think 740 is the biggest price.
Is it really?
Yeah.
There's the 3 stepping in, Red Pepper Grill, Rudy Rodriguez, Manny Franco. Had back-to-back seconds of this condition and then just did not show up last time out. That was for a different stable. Rudy claimed. We'll see if he can get some improvement out of this 4-year-old filly. There's the favorite. Here's the nightcap. Let's go to John Embriao.
They're all in line. And the rough. Mazel 18, Seahorse Doro. Half Day Pam is there, and now moving up is Violent I Am. Violent I Am has a narrow lead. On the outside is Mazel 18, a close-up second. Half Day Pam is next in third. Perfect Tale down on the inside runs in fourth. Handle the Truth is in fifth. Then it's Red Pepper Grill, and Write This Down, and trailing the field is Seahorse Doro in eighth. Now Mazel 18 goes on with it to take the lead. The quarter 22 and 4. Mazel 18 quickly opening up by 2.5 lengths. Violent I Am is next in second. Half Day Pam runs in third, followed by Perfect Tale, and then Handle the Truth. Farther back is Write This Down as the field comes for the top of the stretch. Mazel 18 in front. Half mile 45 and 2. Mazel 18 has a 5-length lead. Violent I Am runs in second, then Perfect Tale. And down on the inside is Write This Down, followed by Red Pepper Grill. Mazel 18 in front. Mazel 18 will give jockey Dylan Davis his 4th win today. Mazel 18, much the best. Violent I Am held on for second. A 3-way photo for third.
Davis siblings 1-2 in here. Mazel 18, 4-win day, as you heard. For Dylan, huge here, closing out the program with another win.
Is that yes? And that means that favorites won every leg of this pick 6. And Dylan was aggressive, and Jackie tried to keep up with Valentium. I'm still going to maintain that. And she just couldn't keep up with him. Did run second here, but this horse was much the best.
And I believe you were correct on the pronunciation as well. I just learned it was a word. 3-1 on this horse. What a day for Dylan Davis. Another man we've been talking rightly so about Trevor McCarthy so much lately, but another young man who's really had a tremendous, really coming of age. First Group 1 win of his career last year, getting big opportunities.
Both he and Kendrick Carmouche came back from their injuries better riders. And they're both good riders going in, but they came back better riders coming out, to be honest with you. And Dylan, I agree, is a terrific young rider. He really is. And he's probably just apologized to Jackie and said, sorry, but it was such a big margin, there's nothing I could do.
Brother, sister, 1-2, and yet Dylan maybe a little extra amped up to get this win rolling on right by his sister early, trying to take advantage of that inside and riding that rail to victory down the stretch.
This horse was an hour the best in here.
A Davis Exacta.
I didn't have it.
3-1 over 6-1.
Do we know what the pick six paid?
Sorry, 9 over 5, odds-wise. 9-5 in third was, I'm going to find out here in a moment, photo per show.
The pick six is going to pay $204.50 for a dollar.
With all favorites.
All favorites. You can only have what it pays.
There are days like that. It's not often. Favorites usually win about 33, 35% of the time.
And we have not had a lot of favorites winning in
No.
general. There have been plenty of opportunities on this racetrack at Aqueduct, but they're going to win their share of races. Horses will run to their odds over time, and they're going to win their share of races, and their share of race is going to be over 30%. That doesn't mean you don't get opportunities. Today just turned out not to be one of those days. Luckily, there was Oaklawn. Get some of my bad opinion money back.
He just had a nice win at Oaklawn. 5-1 winner. The 7th race, mile and 16th, 20 claiming race.
This is a race that changed a great deal when Roaming Union came out for Norm Cassie. First line, horse remember well, was touted as the Nota's Derby horse before he debuted.
Yeah. Who we saw at Saratoga run actually a huge number.
Yes, beat me for a fortune 2 years ago.
And then off that, he was talking about running the horse in the Travers, right?
I'm not sure, but he might have been entered in the Travers.
Really?
He didn't run in the Travers. Yes, correct.
Here is the favorite, Eskin for it. Chris Hartman, 6-year-old by Escandaria, who's a 4-time winner.
Well, he was compromised by a rough post last time. He ended up with an extremely wide trip, so he does seem like a player in this race. But I mean, I thought there were other horses that were worth discussing in here. I don't really know. You know, the race changed so much. What about the 9 first line? It's a weird, right? Claim for 35, running for 20. That's such a negative, right? I don't care what the purses are. I think those are just negative
Off of
moves.
Mike Maker as well.
Right, right.
But there's numbers that make this horse,
This horse can win this race. There's no
in
question
some ways,
about
the
it.
way to beat, right?
Yes. I mean, I'm not in love with Eskin for it, but was compromised last time by that post, and the time before it ran a race that could make her tough in here.
It's just, you go back to first line for a minute, and that last start was just so bad. What do you do? And now leaves that barn.
No, that's a very, very valid point. Truculent. I've been known to be truculent at times. You're not truculent.
Which means?
It's like, I want to say it's like grump, like angry.
Did you say you're not truculent?
No, I say you aren't.
Okay.
I think truculent is, I think it means like almost obstinate.
Okay.
I think. Something to that, in that vein. I should have known exactly what it meant if I was going to use it.
By the way, back in New York, 9-5, it was the 8 who was third. We do have a dead heat for fourth for you exacta or superfecta players out there. 9-5-8-1, 9-5-8-3.
I know this is not a word you're going to want to apply to me when I tell you the definition of truculent, but the definition is eager or quick to argue or fight, aggressively defiant. I know.
Read the next line. See Andy Sterling.
This is an example. Andy Sterling has been known, right.
We'll have those prices coming up from Aqueduct in a moment. But again, dead heat for fourth with the 1 and 3. So post break coming up here in a moment.
Where's Kinchin hiding?
I think
Did
he
he disappear or something?
Took a
Take a race
little
off.
bit of a break.
It's that guy. Take a race off.
Hopefully we'll get him back at some point. I know he's working really hard from his home studio.
He really is, wherever he is. I think he's with Elon Musk, traveling around in outer space or something. Broadcasting from
Oh, if he was in one of those ships, he'd be handicapping, we know, even if he went to space.
Did
playing
Michael
in a
Strahan go to
contest.
space yet?
He did.
He did? That's cool.
Earned his wings, I believe.
Would you go?
I don't think so. I'm happy where I am.
Yeah.
We have
I'm
a
miserable
delay.
where I am, but less miserable.
We have a delay, as you might suspect here. 4 minutes to post. Horse is still in
Oh,
the paddock.
great.
With more, let's go to Gary Stevens.
Yeah, guys, the 9 horse, the morning line favorite was late coming over to the paddock. Actually, a pony had to go get him midway around the turn. There was about 9 minutes to post at that time. They jogged him down the racetrack into the paddock, kind of saddled him on a rush, and not the situation you want if you're my shoes when I was riding. I didn't like that when horses were rushed over to the paddock. So horses just now coming onto the racetrack, but little news for you there, guys.
All right, Gary, thanks. They are coming out, as you see, onto the track, so we'll get to our post parade here in a moment. So first line causing the delay.
With all due respect, if somebody can't get their horse over on time, shouldn't they be scratched?
I'll leave that to the racing officials.
I guess there you don't. There you go.
9-5 favorite is this 6-year-old.
Does he look like a 9-5 shot to you?
4 for 33 lifetime.
I mean, he looks to me like one of the horses to beat in here. I don't have a problem with that. But let me ask you a question. What about Knight's Cross inside of him? Maybe he just didn't like the slop last time, you know? How are his races 2 and 3 back? He was Diodoro, and he's ex-Diodoro, and that bothers me too. But
John Ortiz, we talked about earlier on the show, earlier this week. Gary was talking about how good John Ortiz is. He ran an 88 Beyer 3 starts back.
Yeah, what about the 4 second off a layoff, dropping a little bit with some good back races?
Another one.
Yeah, I mean,
he was third to Pioneer Spirit.
There you
who's
go.
Been in several stakes races on this circuit.
Who at one time was pretty good. I mean, he lost Chris and Dave was second there as a nice horse. No, he's okay. I mean, look at his races 3 and 4 back at Pimlico and Delaware. He's run good races at Oaklawn.
But you got to overlook, that last start. And maybe it was the off track. Maybe he was off the bench. He's a 7-year-old now.
Yeah. It was bad, I agree. But
here's Venture fourth to kick off the post parades.
Yeah, I thought coming in from Remington Park, I have not seen these Remington Park duplicate their form.
Canadian game went by. David Cohen. Here's David's gem.
Looks overmatched to me, dropping down.
Has
speed.
Yeah.
Has speed, though, and with the 7 scratch, this horse could be in control.
5-time winner, and he does it on the front end. Cole Truth, we talked about. Yeah. Second race back. Dangerous.
Worse than him at 11-1.
Here's Knight's Cross, 4-1.
If you're not afraid to bet against the ex-Diodoro, he makes a great deal of sense in here getting back to a fast track.
He really did. He's got a lot of big races, and he can be at least tactically close. Eskin Ford, the favorite.
Okay, here's my question, Greg. We're not forgiving Knight's Cross last race in the slot, but we're forgiving this one's?
Yeah,
I mean,
getting way over bet.
Yeah.
First line 9-2.
I don't like the claim and drop down, but this horse has races that can win this race for sure.
Recent races too.
Yep.
Red again is 15-1.
For good reason. He looks a little tough to like, but he too is second off a little layoff.
12-time winner. Hooked a good win. The 11.
Doesn't the race 2 back give her a chance? And I mean, last time
Bryce,
out,
who'd won 6 of 7.
Yeah, I mean, last time out, this horse ran a sloppy track as well. I mean, maybe you want to forgive some of those sloppy track races. This horse should not be 24-1, the 11, right?
Bryce was in the Caddo River race. No, 25-1 Pepper Pike. Huge number. On another one, this horse ran 83 Beyer at Sam Houston.
Trained by Greg's favorite trainer for a feature, Lindsay Schultz.
Yeah, it was a good story we had on her a couple of weeks ago.
You know who owns this horse?
Jonathan Kinchin does, and he hasn't said the name the whole show.
Here's his chance.
You guys are being mean to me. I was sitting here the whole time waiting patiently to talk. But you guys were talking about, truculence or whatever whatever the thing was. It's exactly what Andy is. Look, I think the 6 makes sense in here, and I will draw a line through that last performance. This horse doesn't like a racetrack with moisture, and if you look at the past performances, never particularly runs well in that situation. This is the horse to beat, not the horse to bet. I'd bet the 2 Canadian game in here. This horse is 5-1 on the board. I like horses that run protected and then and run well protected in a starter allowance race and then come back in for a tag. You know, they had this vision of possibly having this cash cow they can run in these protected races, and maybe they just realized, not quite to that level. Let's run this horse where he can win, and it feels like Canadian Game can win from this position. And I like the way that this horse ran last time as well. Spent a lot of the time early in the race down on the inside and then ended up circling horses. A lot of times some horses don't like being stuck down on the inside. At least I know Canadian Game, who's drawn towards the inside, won't have too much of a problem with being on the inside. But hey, guys, I'm glad to be back with you. But before we talk to you guys, let's check in with Gary.
Hey guys, I'm confused, as usual. First line, I didn't like him when he was in last time. I thought he was overbet, but down to 4-1 that day. Claim, Rene Amescua, pretty sharp guy, does a good job. Northern California, now he's come here, hitting at a high percentage right now. Drops him in for 20. I think he's overbet today, but I can tell you that, you know, him being late over here to the paddock and onto the track, he's an old pro. It didn't look like it shook him up or rattled him at all. But looking at this race, I feel like I'm looking at a card table with a bunch of card sharks that are playing games, playing the claiming game. And I'll let you guys sort it out because I haven't a clue. All right?
Difficult race to try and figure out, and there's a lot of ways to go in this spot. And by the way, the ownership group we're looking to hear from JK 10 strike with Pepper Pike the 12, who
I'm just hoping we can see the race.
Has some races to go back to. That's a horse who's 30-1 on the outside. Has some races that win this race. That's why Gary's confused, as we all are.
I bet a few dollars to win on the 4 and 11, both prices, small bets, just for action. I think they're both overlays. I don't have a big problem with the 6. I just think the horse is a massive underlay.
In a wide-open race. Just about everyone else on this program would agree. First line, 4-1 on the 9 here, who at one time was highly regarded. But you got a lot of horses in this race coming off disappointing efforts. Vic Stauffer with the call, the 7th from Oaklawn.
They're off. Red Again and Hooked a Good One shows speed. David's Gem and Eskinford close up. Venture Forth is next. Then comes Cold Truth and Canadian Game, and they're trying for the same spot. Cold Truth going to have to slam on the brakes and get out of there. First line is next, and the early trailer is Pepper Pike. To the backstretch they run. David's Gem has sprinted far clear now. David's Gem has opened up a 5-length lead on Red Again in second. Hooked a Good One is third, and he's 7 from the front. Eskinford is fourth, and he's got double digits to make up with Knight's Cross just outside of him. Then 2 lengths to Venture Fourth, and to the outside first line between horses Canadian Game. Cold Truth is second to last with about 15 to make up, and Pepper Pike is 20 behind the pumped up front runner David's Gem. David's Gem to the half-mile pole, leads by 5 full lengths from Red Again, who continues to track in second. Another length and a half to Hooked a Good One in third. Eskinford is now clearly fourth, and he's still about 8 from the lead. Cold Truth moving outside of first line, then Venture fourth, and David's Gem is only in front now by 2 lengths as Red Again comes after him. Here's Eskinford to move through at the rail. Eskinford draws within 3 of the lead. Forward momentum for him. Cold Truth is next, then first line and Venture fourth, and David's Gem has been caught by Red Again, and the rail is wide open for Eskinford, and here he comes through to challenge. New leader, top of the stretch, Eskinford, a half length in front. Red Again battles on, David's Gem and Venture fourth, but it's Eskinford a 16th out, and now he's 2 in front. Red Again is second, David's Gem and Venture fourth, Eskinford and Red Again. Eskinford clear to the wire to win. Eskinford won by 3. Red Again, good second. Venture fourth, third. And David's Gem finished fourth.
We love this game, don't we? It looked like a wide open race. In the end, Eskinford, the favorite, just much too good.
Yeah, I got a very good trip in here and a good ride, but proved to be much the best. Sort of a recurring theme today. Horses that are, you know, getting good trips. But this horse ended up 3-1, so you got, you know, wasn't. I mean, our problem with this horse, we understand this horse was 8-5. There's nothing wrong with this horse. He made a certain amount of sense in here. He got the job done. He got a very nice ride in doing it.
12-1 shot in second, 10-1 shot in third. So 3-1, 10-1, 12-1. And Eskin Fort wins for the 5th time in his career. We're saying goodbye to Andy Sterling. Maggie Wolfendale going to join me on the desk after a short timeout, but we'll see you next week.
I will see you Thursday. Look forward to it.
All right. Friday.
I'll be here Thursday. You will be here Friday.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
On air, we'll see you then.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
All right. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, ties to Oaklawn with the 42nd President of the United States. We'll have that story when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
My mom, she had such an incredible love for racehorses in general, Oaklawn specifically. I went to Oaklawn grade school. We grew up a half mile from Oaklawn Park, just straight down Oaklawn Street. And she worked from about 5:30 in the morning at the hospital until about an hour before post. She just give her time to get back and do some handicapping. Mother's main thing when she was handicapping, she loved the drop in class. And then she would certainly also play the very professional, very highly scientific method of betting the gray horse. My brother and I, we can't really do anything without thinking of our mother. When I see that one picture of her reading a racing form, with how beautiful was that with the word Oaklawn on the tote board, that represents my childhood. Right here, this is where it all started, right here. Oaklawn Park.
Deep ties to the state of Arkansas. Former governor, of course, 42nd President of the United States. Bill Clinton and that Clinton family, they love their Hot Springs racing. Our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Eskin Fort winds up winning as the favorite. The price got a lot better. This horse was at 1.8 to 5. Goes off at a very reasonable 3 to 1. 6-10-1 finish. Francisco Arrieta, Chris Hartman team up for the victory. As I'm joined on the desk this afternoon by Maggie Wolfendale. Good to see you. You've been working all over the place today.
I have. It's nice to come inside and get a little warmer, as it's still pretty chilly out there, Greg.
It's going, as we heard from Gary Stevens, it started chilly in the morning. It's warmed up at Oaklawn, but it's going to get chilly again tonight.
Yeah, I know. It's tougher for them because they don't really know how to deal, or they know how to deal, but they can't deal with those winter tracks much like we do because they can't put the same kind of thawing chemicals that we can on this Aqueduct and Belmont training track course. So they really are at mercy of the weather gods.
Nightcap in New York. Got to show you these pick six payoffs as well. And an extremely formful pick six carryover day. How about this young man, Dylan Davis? 4-win afternoon for Dylan.
I mean, they're just keeping it all in the family. The Davis McCarthys, as Trevor obviously married to Katie Davis, Dylan's sister. But Dylan was just laser focused today and sought the lead on Mazel 18, and that was all she wrote. Actually, outriding his poor sister Jackie to the real lead.
Was it me, or did it seem extra motivated to win this race?
I agree. There was serious sibling rivalry going on.
Especially when his sister got to the front early.
It seemed to motivate him and get him to get Mazel 18 out there faster.
He's been terrific for a long time now, but he's come back so strong, so motivated. Andy talked about it too after injury. He's come back just really on a tear, including the first Group 1 win of his career for Christophe Clement north of the border. It's been a great run for Dylan Davis, and he's keeping it going. Pick six, as we mentioned, it was all favorites, and it comes back $202. There it is. If you could just pick the chalk today, $202 payout.
Yeah, it was, I mean, congratulations. Not your biggest pick six payout, that's for sure. But, you know, for the last day, yesterday, I should say, we saw a lot of prices. And so today it was kind of back to reality with a lot of favorites winning. And I think a track that was, yes, kind to inside runners, but it wasn't as exaggerated as what we saw yesterday.
Aqueduct Showdown online contest, $139 bankroll completed by our winner, or produced by our winner, Brenda Boo Boo, your winner. Well done. Congrats. You can enter this contest every day. It's free to enter, and you're competing for real prizes, too. NYRA.com/showdown to get involved. We're going to look back at the feature. It was the Road to the Kentucky Oaks in the Busanda and the way the track was playing, but also what she'd produced on the racetrack. Magic Circle, even though she hadn't won a stakes race, she'd been extremely competitive, really in all three.
Yeah, she had. I mean, 2 back in the Tempted. She was beaten to the lead by the eventual winner, Gerrymander. And then last time out, she showed still a bit of greenness with the drifting out, reacting to the left-handed crop, as we see a new rider aboard today in Jose Ortiz, who Rudy Rodriguez says you just can't surprise this filly. You have to kind of let her know, ease her into being asked, ease her into a run. And I think too, with what I saw, Greg, is that she actually has, changed a bit physically. So I think that led to her being just a little bit more comfortable in getting the 9 furlongs. Yes, the waters are going to continue to get deeper, and we'll see what she opts to do next. If she cuts back in the Busher, or does she wait for the Gazelle back at 1 1/8 on April 9th?
Yeah, either of those 2 races, they'll get you into that Kentucky Oaks. I think you look back at this race too. You've really got to be intrigued by what you saw from Morning Matcha.
She is a filly that has been crying out to go these longer distances, and it does feel as though she was a little against the way the track was flowing, in that she was a bit wide throughout at least the latter half of the race, but kept coming, kept finding, with Kendrick Carmouche aboard, a talented New York bred filly.
PA bred.
Oh, she's PA. She's not New York sired. Sorry, New York sired.
Central banker. Yeah.
They definitely took both two worlds, the best of 2 worlds, I should say.
PA bred making an impact on the Oaks this year.
Exactly. Amazing. You're
We'll
a California bred, aren't you?
I am, but I have a New York bred at home.
Yeah, so do I. I have 2 of them. English out of GB, sired, and Maryland bred mare. So.
Feature next at Oaklawn, and look who's back. Son of Run Happy Mac, who you go back to that maiden special win at Oaklawn, and he was he put 2 lengths on that field 2 steps out of the gate.
He's quick. He is quick, and I don't know what exactly was going on with the turf experiment last time, because it didn't go well, which and a lot of people kind of thought, despite he was part of an entry, so that's partly why he was favored that day. But getting back to the main track here, we'll see what he can do, Greg. It does feel as though there may be some other horses that could provide a little company with him, but he may be the fastest.
Edge to edge on the rail. Big effort last time out. Can he reproduce that? If he and Happy Mac go at it, could set it up for someone else. We'll talk about that when we return. Going to take a timeout. When we return, the ageless wonder. 61 years young and still going strong. John Court, his story when we come back. We're back on America's Day at the Races. More coming up, including the feature from Oaklawn. We'll get to that coming up in just a moment. You can play it all, of course, with NYRA Bets. Go to NYRABets.com or download the app. It is a riding career that began in Colorado. It has also taken John Court to stints in Louisiana, Kentucky, Arkansas, Indiana, and California. 25 years to the day that he won his first ever race. He notched his 3,000th career winner. That was 16 years ago. Still, today, John Court is smiling, winning, and having a blast. John Court is a 61-year-old jockey.
Right, I'm very fortunate that I pursued a childhood dream and that I'm still living it at this late stage in my career.
Those in the game aren't the least bit surprised he's still riding in his 60s.
It is Love Nest.
John's been the man for a long time. That's my homeboy.
But I'm very fortunate and blessed, I would have to say, that I can do it. My body's still functioning, my mind's sharp enough. I still have the skills as if I was still young. And I feel remarkably well for 61.
Last December, Court became just the 5th rider to win 700 career races at Oaklawn.
So it was very exciting. It was just something that was overhanging me, and I was ready to get it done and move on.
Here comes Unbridled Twister to take over the lead.
When we turned for home, I felt like I had a fresh horse underneath me.
Bridal Twister and John Corder well in front.
I felt pretty confident then that it would be the 700. I rode her on in with confidence.
Unbridled Twister in front. 61-year-old John Court wins 700 races here at Oaklawn.
Court won his first race at Oaklawn in 1981 and was leading rider in 2000. But his most thrilling moments occurred in the racetrack's signature race, the Arkansas Derby, when Court won consecutive runnings in 2010 and 2011.
It is Arch, heavy to hold off Nero at the wire. Arch, the winner of the Arkansas Derby by a head.
It was a very exciting moment in my life as well as my career, and here in Arkansas, it's always been a dream to win the Arkansas Derby.
As far as retirement goes, Court feels it's something others think about more than he does.
It's kind of up in the air when I'm going to take off the white pants, so to speak, but it comes up quite often in conversations, and it's only in my mind because people are constantly reminding me, which is fine. I actually am enjoying it and having fun with it in this stage of my life. I often think about it and pray about it, and I'm just going to continue not to worry about it.
Gary Stevens, this is a career that began back in 1980. John Court still winning, still having fun. How impressive is what he is doing right now?
Well, look, he's a friend, and I'm a fan. He's one of my idols, what he's doing. Look, age is only a number, and I know what he's talking about. It only is in your mind because people are talking about it. How long is this guy going to do it? I'm going to tell you what, he's got one of the strongest upper bodies in the sport still to this day. He comes out, works every morning, works hard, and he knows every horse that he's riding. He only gets on the horses that he wants to ride. He test drives them, and he's slowing down a little bit. He's taking care of his body, and he goes out and he gives 100% on every one. He knows that he can't ride 10 a day that don't have chances and give his all, so he's tapered himself off a little bit. I can see John riding for another 4 or 5 years if he chooses to, just the way that he operates, mentally, physically, and the whole thing about it. But eventually he is going to have to hang it up, and I'm sure that he'll slide right into a training job or possibly an agent like me, and who knows what the future holds for him. But a great guy, like I said, a huge fan, and he's one of my idols.
It's just inspiring what he's doing, 61 years old, and still having so much fun doing it, but still winning and producing on the racetrack.
Absolutely. It's a great shot to win here with number 5, Chip Off the Old Block, kind of aptly named, too, as John Court always wearing a smile. It's all in your attitude. It's all in your approach to the game. And you can tell that he just has that positive outlook and brings it to the jocks room, brings it to the racetrack every single day. And, I mean, he doesn't look 61 either. I mean, he is ageless.
He's incredibly fit, and we're going to see his mount coming up in a moment. That's the 5. We start with Edge to Edge coming off an impressive win.
He did, but none of the horses to run back out of that race have done any running whatsoever.
Full Authority just missed against Whiskey Double, trying to do it on the front end.
Yeah, he did. He was a big price that day, and you're getting a decent price again at 14-1. I think Whiskey Double's okay, too, Greg.
Yeah, multiple graded stakes place runner. Here's Happy Mac off the bench.
He looks good. He's on his toes. It looks as though he's continued to fill out. He looks strong. I like what I'm seeing on the track, Greg.
Here's the young man, John Court, 61, on Chip Off the Old Block.
I like this horse. Finally getting back to a fast track. He has not seen many of those as of late. He ran on well, kind of blocked when the winner kept him in last time, or 2 back.
Manhattan Up. Yes, please.
I'll take one, too. Warm us up here.
9-2, one Fast Cat with Florent Giroux.
Yeah, and beat Macron fair and square last time he returned to run a 90 buyer.
Biggest number he's ever earned in his career. The 8 Blame JD.
Looks a little overmatched, though. Has one race that makes him playable. That win in the Rainbow last time. 2 back.
Vulcan, 48-1.
I mean, he had spotty form for Brad Cox, and no offense to his current trainer, but he hasn't shown much for him either.
Shackelford's Joyce double his morning line, Dwayne Lucas.
Seems as though he's a little bit better on the turf.
Heart Rhythm, David Vance, second off the claim.
Seems like he needs a lead for possibly his better efforts, and I just don't see him getting it here.
2 minutes of post feature race on this Sunday card from Oaklawn coming up, and Happy Mac, the 5-2 favorite here in Hot Springs. We'll have it for you next. Back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Our program brought to you by the champion sprinter Run Happy. Standing in legendary stall number 1 at Claiborne Farms. Son of Run Happy, favorite in this feature coming up. That's the 3 Happy Mac. Let's go to Gary Stevens for more.
Yeah, Greg, Maggie, I went and looked at Happy Mac in the paddock. He looks like a cool dude, but as usual, Run Happy throws a good-looking specimen. He is a good-looking specimen, but what I noted when he came on the racetrack, he grew about 3 sizes, just blew up. A lot of confidence in himself. If you can picture a horse that's been, or a human that's been in middle school, then went to high school, then went to college. Well, he's in the pros now, and he acted like a pro, looks like a pro out there, and I'm hoping from appearance-wise that this is just the start of something big in 2022. JK, what are your thoughts on him?
Well, Gia, look, I like Happy Mac, and he showed a lot of promise as a young horse, but he also has thrown in some clunkers from time to time. And so I just want to see one. I just want to see one at a short price. I'd like to see him, kind of get out there and spin his wheels. Don't get me wrong. He's a talented racehorse, but I'm going to go with the kind of now horse. And that's the 7-1 Fast Cat. Like Maggie mentioned, this horse ran down Macron, who won yesterday very impressively. And Macron's run 2 really nice races. And so I think that kind of strength of schedule, also the draw, leans me towards 1 Fast Cat. And to be fair, the price is more attractive as well. So give me the 7-1 Fast Cat drawn outside of Happy Mac.
All right, JK, 9-2, 1 Fast Cat. And by the way, and Maggie just pointed this out as we were listening to JK speak, Edge to Edge is getting all the money on the tote board right now.
He's one that I'd be willing to take a shot against, Greg, because he did, break really well in his last start. He went to lead, overtook the lead possibly early, and proved to be much the best. But like I said, he should have done that. He was the favorite that day, and I think he was just meeting slightly overmatched rivals.
Not a good group.
Not a good group at all.
Reprobate came back 4th and 7th his next 2. Name Rejected came out and was 8th in his next start.
Right, and so he won a claiming 50, he won a starter allowance, so he's climbing kind of back up the ranks, but the waters just get so much deeper here. And now, you wonder, that race was coming off a little bit of a layoff. Does he react a little bit to running such a big performance first off the bench?
Or maybe he's just turned a corner as a 4-year-old.
I have seen that more times than not. And like you said, he was running decent races as a 3-year-old. So, but at a short price, I'd be willing to take, as we were talking about, JK's horse, the 7 in here, 1 Fast Cat, and I think the 5 in here, Chip Off the Old Block. He is consistent, and I think he's run well in his last 2 efforts against similar rivals.
I'm with you. I really like his last. He was really wide around the turn in that race. He's faced some. He used to have a lot of speed, and now he doesn't have to employ that to win. As for Happy Mac, the 3, keep your eyes on this horse early. He is a rocket ship out of the gate. He starts quicker than just about anybody. Will he have company up front, though? We will find out. Joel Rosario, Steve Asmussen, team up. Vic Stauffer with the feature here from Oaklawn.
Last to load, Heart Rhythm. They're off. Blame JD wins the break, goes to the front from edge to edge and Chip Off the Old Block. Then comes Full Authority. Heart Rhythm bubbled soon after the start, but he's close enough. Then comes 1 Fast Cat and Vulcan, followed by Happy Mac. At the back of the pack are Manhattan Up, and the trailer is Shackelford's Joy. Up the backstretch, and Full Authority moves through to take the lead. He's a half length in front of Chip Off the Old Block in second. A length and a half to Heart Rhythm in the center. He's moved up to take third. Happy Mac is between horses, and Edge to Edge is at the rail. Then comes Blame JD, the Arkansas bred. He's got 4 lengths to make up, a length in front of 1 Fast Cat. Vulcan is 6 off the lead. Then comes Manhattan Up, and Shackelford's Joy. Chip Off the Old Block has taken the lead. It's Chip Off the Old Block off the top of the turn with a length and a half lead on Full Authority, Heart Rhythm, Happy Mac, and 1 Fast Cat. Chip Off the Old Block, a final furlong to get, and now he's got a 3-length lead. Heart Rhythm is next. Manhattan Up is emerging for a minor award. Chip Off the Old Block is clear, and he's got it. Chip Off the Old Block won by 3. Heart Rhythm was second, Edge to Edge third. Manhattan Up finished 4th.
Chip off the old block, 61-year-old John Court on cue with a victory here. This is the 8th win of this horse's career.
Greg, we should just go home. I mean, after just the John Court feature, us talking this horse up, finally getting back to a fast track. And, you know, it's interesting. You had said that he had shown the ability to run in any kind of style. He actually had a more forward position today. I don't know, maybe it was just getting back to the fast track. And then, too, we saw Happy Mac. He just was not himself as far as that quick early gate speed.
He was flat. He didn't have any, didn't have that great break that he usually has, and he just didn't have any early. He was 9th early in this race. Strange run from Happy Mac, who maybe just needed one coming back off the bench, not his day-to-day. Chip off the old block. We show you the story on John Court, and then he delivers on this horse at 9-2. This was impressive.
Awesome. So awesome. A good-looking son of Reddy's Image out of a Mizzen Mass mare, Mizzen by Mama. Big bay, white face, as I was saying to you. He's my kind of physical, too. So winning quite nicely, putting away the other speed to edge out the 11-1 as they complete the trifecta.
I wonder who Gary should interview after the race.
Head scratcher.
5-year-old son of Reddy's Image with John Court aboard for Michael Lauer, gets the win in the feature and wins pretty decisively as well. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back to wrap up the feature from Oaklawn when we return, and we will look back to yesterday. It was a rematch from the Kentucky Derby in the Louisiana Mandaloon. Brad Cox able to get the victory. What's next for him? We'll tell you when we come back. Stay with us. You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2.
Florida Derby's always been a key stallion-making race. Constitution, Scat Daddy, Quality Road.
The 2017 Florida Derby to Always Dreaming.
I see a lot of similarities in Constitution and Always Dreaming. They're a little more angular, aerodynamic, and athletic than some of the other stallions by those sire lines. Always Dreaming offers that athleticism, and I think he can reproduce that into his babies, and you'll see some good 2-year-old performances from them.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Spun to Run. In the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, he defeated a loaded field that included multiple Grade 1 winners Omaha Beach and Improbable. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more. And he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, Breeders' Cup champion, Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Back on America's Day at the Races, program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Feature at Oaklawn. Chip off the old block, and John Court delivers again.
And this is a horse that had some trouble in his last start, hemmed in by the eventual winner in a talented Whiskey Double, had dealt with sloppy and wet tracks in his past 3, finally gets back to a fast track, and we couldn't have led into this race better with the future on John Court, as I guess we get to hear from him again, Greg.
Making us look good here. Standing by with a winning rider, Gary Stevens.
John, chip off the old block. Does that mean a lot to you? What's this feel like, John?
Oh, it feels sensational. I've been doing it for over 40-plus years, and it's still just sensational. It's day one.
We just ran your feature. You talked about the day that you're going to have to take it off. No thoughts immediately, is there, of that?
No, it crosses my mind, and people frequently remind me about it, but right now there's no plans of it, but I know inevitably I will have to meet those crossroads.
What about this weather? I mean, we've got a beautiful day today. It's 60 degrees. It's cooling off a little bit. It's going to be cold tomorrow. You're probably going to come out and work some horses. How's the body handle that?
Oh, the body complains once in a while, but it's been doing that for years, and I just tell it to get out of bed and go on with it. That's what the joy of life is all about. It just reminds you you're alive. But yeah, the weather, we're looking forward to have some good training hours where we're not shut down like we've been in the past. But we get the training done. We just want better weather.
My brother, thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Gary.
Guys.
So great to see him continuing to produce at 61 years young. John Kenton Courtney, you saw how happy Gary Stevens was there to see his friend in the winner's circle.
I know, kind of that you're smiling so much, so happy. It almost like brings tears to your eye kind of thing. And Gary, Gary's such a frustrated weatherman, Greg. Poor Gary. I'd love for him to spend a day in the paddock with me here. How do you think that would go?
We are working on getting
Gary.
him a weather map and a green screen, because that is his true calling.
It's his true calling. I love it.
We'll set up the nightcap from Oaklawn momentarily. We're going to look back to yesterday as we talked about some big races on that fairgrounds program, including in the handicap division, and two horses that met last year's Kentucky Derby. Horse who still might wind up being your Kentucky Derby winner.
Yeah.
Mandaloun, Midnight Bourbon, going head-to-head in Louisiana.
Renewing the rivalry. Now, yes, people say Midnight Bourbon hangs. I don't necessarily agree with that. I just think he keeps finding better horses to beat him, unfortunately, for his connections. I know he's a bit frustrating because, as you mentioned, Greg, the last time he won a race was in the Lecomte, which would follow this Louisiana year. And what a return to the races for Mandaloun.
Big effort.
A 106 for his first bow as a 4-year-old, and just a dogged, determined rally. And to do that off the bench, I thought was really impressive.
Yeah, if that's the starting point coming back. Hadn't raced since the Haskell last summer. This horse could be serious this year. So Brad Cox can look at the Mine Shaft February 19th for $250,000.
Okay.
Or he can look a week later to a $20 million race in the Saudi Cup. He's already said, yeah, he's going to go to the Saudi Cup.
Yeah, I think that's right. Why not? Because it's not shaping up to be that tough of a race. And with that performance, I say get on the plane.
Yeah. 20 million reasons why. Yeah. Lecomte, as you mentioned, followed it, and Papa Cap, a lot of attention coming into this race, who had been second to Corniche in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but Call Me Midnight, not even on your screen for the majority of this race.
And
gets a hot pace to set it up for him.
Yes, and I'm sure a bit of a frustrating day for Joel Rosario. He had a couple runner-up finishes. After being aggressive with his horses, he was determined to get the lead with Epicenter, who was your second choice yesterday in the Lecomte Stakes for same connections that we just saw with Midnight Bourbon. But Call Me Midnight, James Graham, very cool customer, allowed this horse to settle in the back of the field, saved a lot of ground, and as you mentioned, wasn't in our screen until they turned into the stretch, and he didn't really start asking him because James Graham is a guy who consistently winters at the fairgrounds, knows how long that stretch is, and obviously knew how much horse he had underneath of him because this horse went and got Epicenter and deserved the win.
Timed it perfect, 28-1. These connections actually teamed up with a much bigger price on the Triple Crown Trail. 2012 Risen Star, Keith DeSormo, Jimmy Graham, 135-1 shot. I've struck a nerve.
Oh, yeah. Wow, I forgot about that.
Keith DeSormo has been in 3 prior Kentucky Derbies. Of course, Exaggerator was runner-up in 2016.
Preakness.
He's got a horse out on the east. Yeah, won the Preakness, of course. He's got a horse on the west coast, Ovia Class, who's on the trail, and now this horse on the trail as well.
Keith DeSormo does a great... It's this niche that he's carved out for himself. He buys these somewhat... maybe undervalued 2-year-olds, as they only paid $80,000 for this horse, may take them with some maybe physical setbacks, is willing to work with them, and it's paid off dividends year after year. And Call Me Midnight is another horse that has to be considered because you have to say that he's been crying out for this kind of distance, classic distances.
And we had one of those pools closed the other day for the future wager. Smile Happy took a lot of attention. And Kenny Peak's other horse, who's primarily a turf horse, took a lot of attention too, which was surprising.
Oh, yeah. Why is
who
his name
I guess a lot of people believe, and I would think, that Kenny's going to try and put him back on the dirt at one point.
Yeah.
But so we haven't seen that. There's no
star.
No standout, right?
No, in the boys division there isn't. And we'll see. I mean, have there been plans for Corniche?
Well, as of right now, can't run in the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, right, exactly.
Yeah, we'll
unless
see
he makes a change to
what happens with
trainers.
that scenario.
It's really wide open still.
Jack Christopher, Chad Brown. He's back with Chad Brown, but he doesn't. He feels he may be rushed to try and make the Derby. We don't know if he's going to make it.
I would doubt him making it, and I think in the best interest of the horse, they shouldn't press him to do so.
So wide open. So maybe we haven't even seen horse debut yet. Who's going to win the Kentucky Derby?
It's going to be like a Justify or Curlin year, possibly.
We're going to see Triple Crown this year?
No. Well, you know.
The big matchup next Saturday. Knicks go. Life is good. And the throwdown, Irad already says he's ready to roll back from injury. We'll preview it next. Back on America's Day at the races here on FS2. We have the nightcap from Oaklawn coming up. Program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. So we'll get to this finale from Hot Springs coming up in a moment. Of course, next Saturday, just about everybody in racing looking forward to what is going to transpire head-to-head between the reigning Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner, Life is Good, and the reigning Classic winner and likely Horse of the Year, Knicks Go. Not just the head-to-head matchup, but what's going to happen early because they both have to be in front.
Well, does Life is Good have to be in front?
Most people believe he's going to. He's just naturally quicker.
Yeah, but doesn't Knicks Go have to be?
He has to be.
Have to be. It'll be interesting to see the draw. I mean, this is one race where I'm really intrigued to see the draw. Most races, you're just kind of like, well, you know, whatever. But this one's going to be interesting as Knicks Go has been preparing for the start in the Pegasus World Cup over at the fairgrounds. Typical, Brad Cox is typically where he has his better horses and their preps into their big races. But it's going to be an interesting swan song. He's going to get no easy go of it.
This is it for him, the finale of his career. It's been a brilliant career. Again, he's going to be collecting hardware as your likely Horse of the Year winner February the 10th. But they're going to pull out all the stops, you would think, for this final showdown in this matchup. Undefeated around 2 turns under the care of Brad Cox. These are the probables, which these two were so quick. They both like to do it on the front end. Why not take a shot in this race if you're a horse who comes from off the pace?
Yeah, I mean, think about Chesty, for instance, the first name on there. He won the Tenacious Stakes, and he's a horse that loves to close from off of it. And he goes out for the upset specialist in these big grade ones in Dallas Stewart.
Yeah, he's had some big runner-ups in several Kentucky Derbies. We'll see if he can, who knows, spring the upset in the win here. Life is Good was back on the racetrack, putting in final preparations in the morning for the big showdown next Saturday. This was at Palm Beach Downs.
We're going to see him here with his regular exercise rider up, Amelia Green, at Palm Beach Downs. He's always a horse that works alone. He is ultra aggressive. And as you can see, working in 1 minute and 4/5 with Amelia's feet in the dashboard, hands firmly planted on his neck. And I like the way he goes for Amelia, and he's always very, very straight for her. They seem to have a nice rapport together. She just kind of is very gentle in her approach with him, and he responds beautifully. But look how efficient. I mean, his legs hit the ground like a metronome.
Those days of Life is Good veering out are long gone.
Long gone. Todd's definitely corrected that.
He is just an incredible performer. Of course, Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner. His target this year, the Classic, but more immediately, Knicks Go on Saturday. Jonathan.
Yeah, look, Wolfie, you and I have talked about this extensively. I'm a huge Knicks Go fan. I've thought Knicks Go was the Classic winner prior to his race in the Whitney, and he turned out to be that horse. When he gets going on the front end and he's rolling, he's just really hard to beat. Now, this is a situation where Life is Good is probably faster than him earlier, but I don't think Life is Good necessarily needs to have the lead, while Knicks Go probably does. So I still think that even though Life is Good is quick enough to take the lead from him, I feel like Knicks Go will go to the front. But I tell you, the most important part of this entire race takes place on Tuesday when they draw the race. If Nick's Go is stuck inside and Life is Good can pressure him and sit outside of him and keep making him work to get that position in front, it's going to be tough going for Nick's Go because Life is Good is a talented animal. Now, if Nick's Go draws outside of Life is Good, I think Nick's Go can kind of dictate and kind of ease himself to the lead without having to deal with a whole lot of pressure. To me, the race is going to be won or lost on Tuesday on the draw, but someone who's probably worked their way out of a couple of bad draws throughout their career. Gary, what do you think?
Well, Jonathan, I think you've called it to a T. I just say ditto to everything that you said. I see a lot of intelligence in this horse. I've never sat on his back before, but I love the way that he trains. I love that he's training on his own. He's not being overly aggressive. He's listening to the rider. And I think a lot is going to depend on what the draw is. If it's Life is Good, draws the outside, I say it's game over immediately. I think Irad's, what he's got to be careful of is that he does not send him away from there. Life is Good. He's a naturally very fast horse anyway. Let him get into his rhythm, and I think that Nick's Go does have to be on the lead. I think he will be on the lead. I think it's Irad's job to make sure that he lets him run into that first turn, get him into a nice rhythm, and whatever Nick's Go does, try and get him to the outside where he's not engaged early on. And if it is engaged early on, Life is Good has such a high cruising speed, the same as Nick's Go, but he's the young buck, up-and-coming buck. So he's my pick right now, regardless of the draw, and I can't wait to see the matchup. It's going to be a heck of a horse race, guys.
Two superstars of this caliber. You have to wait to the Breeders' Cup usually to see a showdown like this.
Well, and two, you mentioned two superstars in the equine form. What about the people behind them? We have the former multiple Eclipse Award-winning jockey aboard Life is Good, and then you have the likely Eclipse Award winner this year in Joel Rosario, and Hall of Famer in Life is Good's corner with Todd Pletcher, and the reigning Eclipse Award winner Brad Cox.
Who's probably going to win it again.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's such a matchup between human and equine, and I wonder if, obviously, I think Eclipse Awards are probably decided, but it's kind of an interesting, thing to throw into the mix of who becomes victorious next Saturday. It's
going to be a lot of fun to watch this race. Every race fan is going to be glued to their television if they're not on site. It's going to be a blast. We still got the nightcap to come from Oaklawn. Stay with us. Finale up next, and we alluded to it earlier. There are some very intriguing prices in here, including near double digits on a horse who took a lot of money in the debut. You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2, program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Finale from Hot Springs up next. A maiden special weight. Everyone looking for that first win on the resume. 6 furlong sprint and the 9-5 favorite. Steve Asmussen, Ricardo Santana Jr. with a 3. We start with the first timer on the rail.
And this is a horse that has some pedigree, daughter of Constitution, and a half to Chateau. Multiple stakes winning sprinter on this circuit.
And a Pennsylvania bred.
There you go.
Chesterette, second time out.
Showed a little bit of early foot, but really tired badly in her first start, albeit it was on a muddy sealed track.
Expensive daughter of Practical Joke. Here's the favorite.
They debuted together, hot and sultry. She broke a little slow and kind of was green in the first part of the race. Look for her to show more speed today, though.
Mike Maker, first-time starter by American Freedom.
Does pick up Joel Rosario. A little bit more turf on the bottom side, though.
Little Mambo showed some speed early in the debut.
Yeah, the winner came back and was 4th, ran a 72, regressing 12 points from that win.
Comedy Act, another one with speed.
Yeah, this one might be the fastest of the fast. Comes in here with a bullet drill as well, going the 5/8. We'll see. Was beaten by the favorite last time out at Churchill.
Not listed in the form, but bicameral blinkers on.
Blinkers on, turning back, makes sense. Tried to go a mount a 16th of a muddy, sloppy track last time off the layoff.
Grade 1 placed as a maiden was in that race. Delmar Debutant as a maiden. 8 was a first-time starter, and here's the 9, Baguine.
very interested in this horse. Took a lot of money for Danny Pites, who isn't known to win with first-time starters. That race won by Larry Jones' debuter, and this horse made a winning move and just flattened, looked like she needed that start.
Threeves Company.
Well, Larry Jones with a first-time starter. This one...
More of a turf pedigree?
Way more of a turf pedigree. Half to Winter's Back, as well as Duress, a good turf sprinter.
Grand Dam was a Grade 1 winner on the grass.
Exactly. So just feels as though this might be the wrong surface, though Overanalyze is more proficient with his dirt sprinters.
And back to the 9 for a minute, Beguine produced Grade 2 Swale winner, Favorable Outcome, who was an eight-time winner. 8-1 right now.
As well as another stakes winner in Bellamentary. This horse is a huge overlay right now. I don't know what she'll end up going. She's continuing to drop here. But I remember saying to you, Greg, we want this horse next time.
And now you're getting a price. 7-1 on the 9. Let's go back to Gary Stevens.
Yeah, guys, there's all kinds of prices out there. Threeves Company, of the first-time starters, she caught my eye more than any of the rest of them. She's 5-1 on the morning line. Last time I looked, she was 6-1, so holding steady right there. And she's a good-looking filly, looks smart, looks intelligent, everything about her. But let's talk about the 2-horse a little bit. I know, Maggie, you spoke about her trip first time out, getting tired. There was a little more to it from what I saw. She was drawn down inside that day. She was in super tight down the lane, and actually shying from the rail and kind of ping-ponging off the horse to her outside and the inside rail. Stagger stepping, just really not knowing what's going on. I would like her a lot more. She's 12-1 right now, but I'd like her a lot more if she'd drawn more outside, because that first experience was not a great experience for her in my eyes because of those tight quarters. So I think if Gonzalez can work a trip out where he can ease to the outside a little bit, he's going to be a lot better off. Condiac, the 6 filly, I think she's really going to benefit off of that first race. She came back, had a little bit of a lung infection after that race, so had an excuse there. She was speedy, and that was a good maiden special that she's coming out of. So a wide open bunch here with some good prices. The 3 Hot and Sultry, gorgeous looking filly. Steve Asmussen's horses always improve second time out, so she's 2-1 right now, and that's a fair enough price for her as well. Guys?
So 2-1 favorite, winningest trainer in North American history with his main man back aboard. They haven't been exclusively.
It seems like the timeout is over.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, the suspension is over between the two, which is good. It's great. It just feels that Steve, for as good of a summer that he's had this fall and kind of into winter, and look, he runs thousands of horses each year, so he's going to have winners, but it just seems as though he's in that run of luck where they might be running, some of them are running well, but just not getting the job done, like Midnight Bourbon, and then some just aren't showing up at all, like Happy Mac in the last race.
Post time coming up. Let's get Jonathan's thoughts on this finale.
Yeah, when you look at the 3 Hot and Sultry, it kind of reminds me of a situation we find ourselves in so often up at Saratoga, which is to Chad Brown or not to Chad Brown. Look, every time Steve has a horse in here that has shown any talent or done any running, they're going to bet the horse off of that, and for a good reason. He wins a lot of races. He's the winningest trainer in North American history, so I understand that. This is a situation where Hot and Sultry does have the best figure, depending on which figures you look at, the best last figure, does have that experience of a race. We know how much experience helps in these maiden races. Ran on a muddy racetrack, so you could possibly forgive. You get Ricardo Santana. There's lots to like about the 3. I think the only thing to not like probably is the price. The most likely winner, but I think there's probably a couple of other options. I think the 1 Hardy Constitution is interesting. Like Maggie mentioned, a half to Chateau. I like when I see a half to a fast horse when it's a maiden, because you're thinking maybe they'll pop away from there. They might have a little bit of early speed. They might be a little precocious. And Martin Garcia can definitely get him away from the gate. But I'm rooting for the 10. Three's Company. So horse is a half to hook 'em horns.
I had to get a little Austin shout out on the program.
I think Hardy Constitution is the most interesting first-time starter, given the pedigree, like we were saying. In here, Joe Sharp can win with a firster, that's for sure. But I'm all about Beguine in here. I think she'll run well at second asking.
There she is moving in. That's the 9. Francisco Arrieta for Danny Pites, second time out. And a nice price as well. Vic Stauffer, nightcap coming up from Oaklawn.
Last 2 are Little Mambo and Threeves Company. They're at the post. They're off. Majestic Freedom, terrible start and not striding out. Hot and Sultry to the front from Little Mambo away in the second. Comedy Act is third. At the rail goes Hardy Constitution. Between horses goes to the far outside now and Beguine, then Chesterette midfield. So up the backstretch, the leader is Hot and Sultry. A length and a quarter in front of Little Mambo and Hardy Constitution. Chesterette and Comedy Act are fourth and fifth with 3.5 lengths to make up. They are a length and a half in front of Beguine. Then it's 2.5 lengths back to Threeves Company and Bicameral, and the trailer is 5D Consciousness as they run at the top of the stretch. Hot and Sultry just in front. Hot and Sultry a half length in front of Little Mambo, who's inching closer in second. A length and a half to Beguine, 3 wide on the outside in third. Hot and Sultry cuts the corner and leads. Little Mambo has the length of the stretch to try to get by. Then Hardy Constitution, but it's still Hot and Sultry, a 16th out now, and a full 3-length advantage. Little Mambo and Hardy Constitution second and third, with Beguine in fourth. It's Hot and Sultry in front. Hot and Sultry won by 3. Little Mambo was second, Hardy Constitution third. Beguine finished fourth.
Asmussen Santana Jr. and bet down, I believe, to 8-5 in the end. Hardy Constitution, the best of the first-timers.
Yeah, had that rail ride, saved a lot of ground, but there was nobody catching. Number 3, Hot and Sultry, as you kind of anticipated, broke more alertly, showed more speed. Ricardo Santana so good at getting horses out of the gate and using that speed as his best weapon.
Speightster filly delivers for the winningest trainer in North American history, Steve Asmussen, Santana aboard. Real quickly, we're going to wrap up the show here. Go back to that Busanda Magic Circle. What do you think of her performance?
I like her. I like her as a horse, but the waters do get deeper as we move along. Obviously, the Gazelle is always a very, very deep field, but it's wide open behind Echo Zulu at the moment.
Who is complete standout. Still waiting to see her come back for her 3-year-old return if she's anything close to what she was at 2. They're all running for second anyway. Exactly. But we'll see. It's a new year. Everyone's maturing, growing up. Next on FS2, it's Inside the Scrum. We will see you next Friday on FS2, beginning at 3 Eastern Time. 61-year-old John Kenton Court takes the feature on this Sunday card at Oaklawn, a chip off the old block. And speaking of the Busanda Magic Circle, had the rail. Jose Ortiz put her speed to good use, earning 10 points into the Kentucky Oaks field.